What is going on, everybody? I gotta think about it. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is ready for tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Comic Book Day. So today we're doing things a little differently. There's just a little technical difficulty on my computer's end, PowerPoint, Microsoft, whoever. Let's point the finger at everybody but myself. So we're gonna do things a little differently. I still have a PowerPoint, but we'll just roll with it. Best way I can say it. Without further ado, let's bring in the guys. First up, we've got Mr. Hyper, Blue Pill. What's going on?
Wow, I'm usually the last one to be brought in. You actually took me off guard there for a second.
You were just right there. As soon as I closed a window, you were just right there. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Well.
we save the best for last, man. We save the best for last.
So you're saying face? All right. Whatever. Anyways, yeah. Happy to be here, man. So let's do this.
Let's do this. And let's bring in Mr. Information, the myth, the man, the legend. Hey, Tyme, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
What's up?
You ready for tomorrow? Or what?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a light week. I know you weren't on our show the other day, but I think it's a light week. We'll see. I'm sure something will pop off, go crazy.
Oh, you know it.
I'm trying to keep it light. Trying to keep it light on the wallet this week, so but we'll see once I get to the LCS tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the test.
Did you guys? And I want to let the chat know. Did you guys know? And you guys, the chat and you guys. But did you guys see a photo that I posted a few days ago on Instagram? And it was my girlfriend likes champagne and wine, obviously, like typical woman. She bought this expensive champagne, and I said I captioned it Grailabration or something like that. I want to just let everybody know I've got a big. What chocolate bar do you eat? Oh, Mr. Big. Yeah, that kind of big reveal. I got a big book, so stay tuned. I'm not going to show it on the show. I'm going to probably show it on Friday or Monday next week. So just be on the lookout for that. There's a few people who know that I was looking for certain books. So, maybe we can make a wager and, do something with the money if you guys want to bet. But yeah, there's a big newbie Grail alert Friday or Monday. I haven't decided when, but I'll be showing them off. Okay. Also, just to let the odds be in people's favor, it is not an Iron Man book, even though I wish to God it was. But
you said it was a big book, so obviously that took on Iron Man.
Whoa. Tales of Suspense 39 is literally on every top 10 list. Okay, so just relax. So guys, today
that's not Iron Man book though.
We got a fun one. Sell, buy. We got about 18 to 19 books. Definitely love your input on it. Usually we kind of talk about it and we ask ourselves that question that a lot of us ask. Do we sell? Do we buy? Do we keep? Wow, I said it other way around. Do we keep? Do we buy? Or do we sell the book? Right? Because those are questions that sometimes is very difficult to do when we, collect a certain way and we want to have things and we, I know I collect a certain way where I think everything I pick up is gold, right? So sometimes it is nice to get other people's opinions and things like that. It just kind of eliminates this. You guys always hear me say, or you guys always see me do this where, like a lot of us are like this. So sometimes it's nice to get other angles and other views on certain books. And let's face it, some of us might have information that, one of us didn't have, or some of us went on a blog, blah, 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 so it's always a good and fun conversation. So I usually have PowerPoints. I do have a PowerPoint. However, it's not opening up, so it's not going to look professional. And what I mean by that is I can only switch the slides through my email. I have no idea why PowerPoint is not wanting to open, so we're going to make do with it. Please don't email the email that's on top, please. It's my work email. So,
Nice.
if you guys are trying, if you guys are trying to,
I can only imagine what Newbie's gonna get after this show.
if you guys are, trying to email me, I'm probably not going to answer. Just message me on Instagram or something like that. All right.
You know what? You shouldn't have even drew the chat's attention to that. They probably would have ignored it.
Listen, I believe in our community. I believe that there are good men and women in here, and they'll respect it. Right? It's a one-off. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
I don't get subscribed to more porn than anything.
I don't know what's going on with it. So yeah, like I said, we got 18 or 19 books at the end of it, guys. If you guys have any books you guys want us to talk about, we will gladly talk about them. So without further ado, well, before we get started, let's go into the chat. There's a few people. Sith, you're getting the gold medal. What's going on, man? Spine Ticks, 11 p.m. Saturdays Eastern time and 3 p.m. Pacific time Wednesdays. They do their PSA card stuff. So cards is getting hot. Make sure you guys go check them out. Dan, I'll try to behave tonight. Yeah, please, man. Paul, what's going on? AKA Mr. Rey Mysterio. I gave him that, nickname just because I messed it up that one day. Star Wars Fiend, what's going on, man? Goodfella Comics, what's happening?
That's actually you just changed his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, I've never seen that before. Universe X, I bet I know what it is. We'll see. But thanks for joining, man. There's a crazy lineup on YouTube today, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. Oregon, what's happening, man? Newbie bought a Star Wars one. Is that really a big book, though?
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh.
Shots fired.
I'm just joking. I know Sith loves his Star Wars. Louis, what's going on? K Peel, and there's more people, but yeah, as you guys come, big shout outs, and again, thanks for supporting. So, like I said, let's get to the fun. Let's get to the meat of everything.
By the way, his name is P Kill, but it's all right.
Whatever, right?
What did I say? I said
You said K Kill.
Shoot, sorry, man. I got one of my closest friends is named Keel, so like I every time I see this like him come up, like I'm always thinking like Keel, and then yeah, it just throws me off. All right, guys. So like I said, the PowerPoint, I can't get it to open outside of this, so please, it is a work email. Please don't, email me. I trust you guys.
You keep mentioning that. It's almost like now you want them to email you.
No. This is not one of those. This is not one of those.
Are you lonely at work?
Please punish me.
All right, let's kick it off. And guys, there is some DC, there is some modern, there is some silver, there is some bronze, there's a whole whack of stuff. Okay, so we try to make it as open as possible, and we try to keep it within what's going on in today's comic world, movie, show, things like that, right? So let's have it. And like I said, at the end of this, if you guys have a book you guys want us to talk about, more than happy to talk about it. All right, let's kick it off. First book, Tales of the New Teen Titans #1. Now, I know that it says Origin of Cyborg. However, isn't there two books that are technically the origin?
Well,
this one.
There was that. I was thinking of his first appearance that had. Help me out, Face. What was that issue where it has the first appearance of Cyborg and the Teen Titans?
DC Presents 26.
That's the one. Yeah, I was thinking of that one.
Yeah. This one, maybe that other one's on the list. Who knows? Maybe it's a spoiler. But outside of first appearances, cameos, if there isn't a cameo, it's usually the origin. With the fact that we all know, Justice League is coming out. I believe it's on the 18th or 20th. I can't remember.
Well, apparently it got released today.
Yeah, I think it's this month. The character that plays Cyborg will be done. His contract is over. He had a dispute, so it's not going to happen anymore. I doubt we see Cyborg again. If we do, it's going to be rebooted, which makes no sense if they're going to reboot the reboot of, too many reboots. So we'll see where that goes. But again, it brings up a good conversation on, whether to keep, sell, buy anything Cyborg. I only brought up this one. But it is a question to think like, okay, well, he's not going to be in it. This is probably going to go back to being a $5 book, if that. And I've seen these books. I've seen like stacks of them. in a row at shops in dollar bins where they're literally like $3 or $5. So I've already seen it, right? I haven't really met any hardcore Cyborg fans either, but you know, it is a cool character. You know, you have the African American, the minority, things like that. So who knows one day? But as of right now, I mean, if you were stacking anything Cyborg or anything like that, for me, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it is a sell, like clear house. Because what it tells me or what it shows me is if they're getting rid of Cyborg, even though they only had him for a short period, it could open the door for Green Lantern, Martian the Manhunter, which supposedly is going to be at some point appearing in this Justice League and whatever. So I think they'll maybe focus on those characters, which might make Cyborg really forgettable. So for me, this book is sell, and I'm just saying everything Cyborg, sell it all.
Yeah, I mean, and this is an honest question on my part, just because I'm more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy. But to echo what you're saying, has Cyborg ever really caught like that much heat where people that he has like a large fan base? I mean, he's a cool character and all, but I even his first appearance doesn't go for that much in the secondary market. So
no.
This is not something that from an investment point of view that I would probably stack. Like you said, I'd probably just sell on this one. If you're saying that values are going high, I mean, are on an uptick, I would just sell off Cyborg, because it's just not a character. He's been around for a while, and he seems to have plateaued in terms of popularity. So
yeah. Face, where are you on this, man?
Well, I mean, it's one of those books that's kind of I get it's like sort of in a difficult situation. There is actually another Cyborg running around in live action right now in DC in the Doom Patrol series on HBO Max. And it's actually a much better depiction of Cyborg than anything I've seen in the movies, for sure. That being said, Doom Patrol is a pretty good show and everything like that, but it's not super huge or anything.
yeah.
You know how I feel about that show, man.
Yeah, there may be some plans someday in the future to bring Cyborg back, but it's probably a long ways off. But as far as selling it, I mean, it's kind of on like a downtick, so I don't necessarily know that now would be like the right time to sell, because obviously you're not seeing the higher prices that you catch. You would be hoping to hold it maybe and wait for something to happen with them if you can. If you are a fan of Cyborg, it might be a good time to pick it up, because prices are going to be a little lower with him not being a huge player in the DCEU right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of Tocco, and there's decent reasoning for each argument. Personally, I think, given that the DCEU is not as consistent as the Marvel universe, I would probably say I'd want to hold it maybe and hope for some kind of reboot and something to happen with the character, that gives it a little bit of a bump. But it's kind of unlikely, so.
Honestly, with DC, I'd have more faith in the publishing side to make this more of a popular character than the actual film and television side, because it seems like nothing seems to land on the media side in terms of spiking characters' popularity. It seems like it's the comics that would probably be the character's saving grace in terms of at least augmenting his popularity in the future.
Yeah, the live action stuff just doesn't seem to do it for him, and it's probably not going to change anytime soon.
Well, not just him, but most characters in the DCU, if you want to call it that. It's not like Marvel, like where it seems like everyone is specking on any new first appearance that comes in the MCU. You don't get that same kind of buzz in the DCU.
Right. DC. Yeah, totally agree with you. It's sad, really, because I was really looking forward to it for his success. And I'll really quickly just say, before Justice League was going to be a thing, I remember collecting these for like 50 cents to $1. And one of my first CGC submissions was I sent like 6 of these books in. And I mean they were very low grade. I was just starting out. Like I didn't really understand the whole pressing, cleaning. Like it was like years ago, right? So I sent them, and I got a lot of them back in the 8.5. I think one I hit at 9.2, but I remember like paying like 45 for the CGC and then like 50 cents for the book. But I remember selling them at like $100 because people were like, "Oh man, it's gonna be big," and it's just crazy to see the downfall of the character, man. It's like,
yeah,
it's just the inconsistencies all across the DCEU. The storytelling has been very hit or miss. There's been a lot of Kevin Feige overseeing Marvel has kind of set the tone to have some consistency throughout their movies. I mean, obviously there's some stuff that causes a little bit of problems, like 2 versions of the Darkhold, that you got now that potentially are in the MCU. But I guess we're calling it that it's negating the TV shows now. So like they kind of take care of those things over at Marvel, and DC has not done that well at all.
Yeah,
with their movies,
So can I say it's across the board here? It is sell. I mean, I was reading some of the comments in the chat, and everybody's saying sell. It's sad that it got to that point, but yeah, are we all saying this is a big sell?
Okay, wait. But before I make my decision, you're telling me like currently right now it's at a downtick, right? The issue.
Oh yeah. Well, because the character, the contract of the character is done. Like they've already come out and said, he's not going to reprise the role. They have no what's it called, motivation to recast the character, do the character, or for we know, right? So yeah, I think it's all downhill now.
Okay. Wait, who's going first? You, newbie?
I've said sell. Like this is a sell.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what? Because it's on the downward trend, and the fact that I don't think you're gonna get that much of a top dollar, I would say maybe I'm gonna say buy, only for the fact that if you're a Cyborg fan, it might be the best time to buy, just because it's on a downward trend. So this might be the best time to pick it up. And for that reason,
I sometimes think, like, if I could go back in time, maybe have like a cheaper favorite character. You know what I mean? Like just a character that, like if my favorite character was like Yarn Man, or like, it's just something where I'm like, I got my Yarn Man 1, or, just something that's like, this one would be perfect. If your favorite character is Cyborg, like, man, you're laughing. You could collect like 100 of these for like $50, it seems, right? So
yeah, but that character seems like something out of science fiction.
Yeah. Well, hey, Deathlock's the same thing, right? It's just Marvel's version. So
no, I'm talking about a character that actually likes Cyborg as their number one. That seems like a science fiction character.
To be honest, and if somebody in the chat is a Cyborg fan, I have never met anybody that's like, oh yeah, my favorite character, Cyborg. Like I've never heard that in my life. So, Face, where are you on the book? You're saying sell.
I mean,
right?
yeah. If you can find a copy real cheap, I mean, yeah, sure, definitely pick it up. If you're gonna sell, either now is the time, or really wishful thinking for the future. So,
yeah. All right. So there you have it, guys. It's sell, buy. So maybe it just depends on how much you believe in the character. Who knows down the line in the future? But for now, Cyborg is finished. Next book up, we've got one that I think last July, really caught on. Obviously, Mikey Sutton had that leak that, there was confirmed news that this was going to be a show. So we got Spider-Man 2099, number 1. What is this? Well, it's the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099. Out of the books, like out of this one and Amazing Spider-Man 365, I think this is the book to have in ASM 365. It gets a little tricky because actually what you see is from this story, I believe. So it's really the one to have, in my opinion. Most people will tell you this is the one as well. There is a white cover, which is like super rare to find. So like where you see the red, it's white. I do think that there's a few people I've seen have it. I think Universe X has one. So I hope I'm not like, leaking out any secrets, but I do know some people. I think maybe like Punch has one and things like that. Raw copies, they're all over the place, but copies are selling in the CGC 9.6 at 160 Canadian, right? And with that show coming, it's probably going to heat up. The problem with this one is if you find them in the wild, which you will, like this is a book that I think everybody in the chat, including the guys on the panel here, will tell you they can find them. Like me and Keys have found like 20 or 25. The only problem is if you guys have never seen this book in front of you, it is like foil. So that red stuff is foil. It is so hard to find a really, really high grade of this book. Like super, super hard. So just make sure you pay attention. That red stuff too is kind of like the bingo, like the scratch from bingo. So like if you ding it up, like you actually
You
get
can't
like
press it up. Yeah, you can't press it up. Yeah.
So you got to be very careful because I've seen a lot of people like pick those books up, put it in a stack, put it in their car. When they get home, it's got like some scratches and stuff. So you just got to be very careful. This one for me is I've kind of flip-flopped since last year because I was like, oh, you know what? Like I was late to the party, but there hasn't been much news or anything on this book. So like, I always try to buy on the dip when they're low. That's when I try to get in. Especially if you're coming from an investment side, like you're never really going to make the money that you want if you're buying it at peak. And if it's something that you really want, you always want to wait for the dip anyway. So yeah, this one, I would say buy and hold. I'm kind of torn between the two. I really think that this has legs. That whole Spider-Man stuff, I think, has legs. I think what we're seeing with the Spider-Man, Spider-Men, Spider-Women, Spider-Universe, and things like that going forward, we're just going to get a whole whack of them. So I think that this is a really good book to hold on to. And if you can get it cheap, I mean, buy it. But I definitely wouldn't be selling this book anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, and with the end credits from the first Into the Spider-Verse, we know that, Spider-Man 2099 is coming to the sequel. And it's one of those things, like, I think Tivo mentioned this in Lords of the Long Box, that sometimes even though the community knows that a character is appearing, they'll still wait until he actually appears in the film before they start jumping on the actual issues. So I would say now is probably the best time to buy it because I'm sure that this will start heating up once we're getting closer to the actual sequel.
Yeah.
And you're right. It is pretty condition sensitive, and a lot of those 90s foils, you can definitely find it in the back issue bin. Supply is definitely not an issue, but it's just getting what sets it apart. Exactly. What sets it apart is if you can get that 9.6 or 9. Actually, you know what? Go for a 9.8, I would say, because I would shoot for a 9.8 for this book if you can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Huge. Face, where are you?
Well, on the as far as being on the sell front, I mean, I can't see doing that with the book right now. They're gonna do something with it, with the character. So I mean, whether it's just Into the Spider-Verse or they do something further as far as his own show. I would definitely say it's a hold for now. As far as keeping it and trying to maximize, the potential value that you could get out of it. As far as being in the buy category, I guess that's a really tough question because it's going to depend on how strongly you feel about the show. One of the things with it, if they do a Spider-Man 2099 show, is you pretty much already know that it's not going to be in continuity. And Marvel does tend to like to have a show that or shows that they kind of run out of continuity every now and then, and it gives them a little more creative freedom in those shows. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. So
you're right.
It depends on how strongly you feel about that show, as far as whether you want to buy now or if you want to wait and maybe hope that there's some kind of a dip if the show doesn't pan out or whatever. But
big shout out to Immortal Biggie Shaq. I will be on T-Sands channel on Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go toe-to-toe with these guys. It's a really fun concept they do. They're big wrestling fans, so they pick a wrestler and then they kind of just use that wrestler as their intro and things like that. They're solid dudes, fun dudes. I sometimes watch their show. I say sometimes because like I can't, 11 p.m. You guys know I work super early, so but it's always fun when I catch them on the rewind and stuff. So I'm actually honored that they asked me to join. I've got some interesting books I'm going to be showing off, so hopefully I win the contenders match and go and play with the big boys, as they say, right? So big shout out to Shaq. Thanks for joining, man.
I gotta know who Newbie's wrestler is.
Oh, dude, it's Rey Mysterio.
How'd I know you were gonna say that?
Well, I wanted to go Eddie Guerrero, right? But with that, I lie, I cheat, I steal. But
I thought you were gonna say like the 1, 2, 3 Kid or something, or Doink the Clown.
No. I just want to bring this up. So Steve Bradley is saying a newsstand 9.8 sold for $1,000 last month, and that's 1,000 American. So even though it's quiet, the cat is out of the bag. It's been out of the bag since last July or June. I can't remember what month in the summer it was, but when it was announced, it just kind of popped, right? So the only thing that it's got going for it is that it's quiet. There's no news on it, anything like that. So again, is it a dip? Yes, but the information is still out there, right? So if you're trying to get that, if you have that FOMO and stuff like that, don't be surprised if you go to a shop or a buyer and they have a firm price and they answer you with, "Well, a show's coming," right? Like everybody kind of knows what's up. So,
and the thing is,
warmer times is coming, man. Hit them flea markets and yard sales. You might still find this thing for $1.
Yeah.
But the thing is, regarding those newsstand copies for those foil covers in the 90s, we know how it is notoriously hard to find those in a 9.8. If you remember back when we did the unboxing, I showed you those CGC of this book right here, the ASM 375. Look on eBay for that one as well. You're not going to find a lot of newsstands in 9.8s. I think I only saw 1 or 2 because they're supremely hard to find in that condition. So if you can grab a newsstand at that high of a grade, you pretty much command the price in the market because there's not a lot out there.
And guys, remember, if you find, and ladies, sorry, if you find that white one too, you've got gold. So, all right. Next up, this is for the DC people. I think the first time we did this, like 2 months ago, this book was brought up. Sometimes there are some books we bring back because, some of us might have changed our minds or the market dictates a little differently or whatever. But we all know what this is. This is Batman Adventures number 12, first appearance of Harley Quinn. You guys know how I feel about this. Is she done yet? Is she over? CGC 9.6 sold. I know it says selling, but the last sale that I found was basically $1,600 Canadian for a 9.6. When you're talking about big mega, superstar, A-listers, that's not a bad price, especially if you're like a big Harley Quinn fan. Like that is not a bad price for a big Grail book. So is the price right? Yeah. I just think, me personally, this is, and Hyper, you've heard me say this multiple times. I think me and Face kind of disagree on this character, but like I just think that it's coming to an end. I think that they're probably going to come in with Poison Ivy or, dare I say Punchline down the road. But I do think that this Harley Quinn stuff might kind of be done. She's done a few movies. They have an A-list celebrity doing it. But I mean, it just kind of seems like we saw her in Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey. What else did we see her in?
The animated TV show.
All this stuff, right? So I think it's kind of time to move on. We've had Harley for what? Since 2013, 14? I think that's the Suicide Squad came out, or 15, I think.
In live action, she came out in 2014. 15 or 16 actually. I think that
Yeah,
was
so 6-7 years. I don't know. We've seen 2, 3. We're gonna see her again in the new Suicide Squad. So yeah, I don't know. For me, unless you are a big Harley Quinn fan, which there are a lot of people out there who are, and it's not a hit. Please, don't be offended when you hear me say sell. But if you're not a Harley Quinn fan, I would probably sell to get some coin and just reinvest it, especially if you're in the investment side of things, right? Kind of treat it like stocks. If you see that it's kind of just plateaued or going down, you kind of want to get rid of it. So for me, this book has been, and I won't say always, but has been for probably 4 or 5 months. I've been saying sell.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a discussion about this afternoon. Sellers sometimes get a bit of, I guess you could call it FOMO, where when they sell a book and they wonder if I sold it at the right time and should I have waited, maybe like a year or two until the prices may have increased. This is one of those books where I kind of feel where you could probably rest easy selling it now, and you could probably find it around the same value probably a year or two from now. Maybe you might appreciate a little bit, but like unless DC does something completely drastic with this character, I don't see this book really. It's pretty much plateauing right now at this point. So I mean, who's to say? There might be a surge if DC thinks of something brilliant, but right now it seems like it's just on a steady incline. Nothing too drastic like you're seeing with these Marvel books lately. With the Bronze Age title. So I would say if you're looking to cash out, I would say now is a good time. And if you always wanted to get that book back, I'm pretty sure you could find it for around the same price that you sold it for. So
I know this is where we're gonna get told. I know how Face feels about this book. Face, like Keys would say,
man.
Get him.
This book has hit Grail status. It's in many top 10 lists on Grails.
mm-hmm.
I really don't think you're going to see anything strong as far as any actual type of dip, regardless of what happens with Harley in live action. Just because, again, this book has hit Grail status. People want it. They're always going to want it. It's not going to change. As far as Harley's future, I mean, look, the DC universe is so heavily, as far as in live action and stuff, is so heavily dependent on Batman and that whole, the whole Batman, family, that there's almost no way Harley goes away. I know, we're talking about Punchline and everything now, and she's gonna have a chance, but one of the big things with Punchline and one of the things that caused her to become who she was her hatred of Harley. So she's got to factor into that somehow. Leaving that out is a big piece of who we already know Punchline is. I mean, I still think you're going to see Harley play out in DC for a while. I don't think you're going to see any hugely significant drops. I would say it's a hold. If you've got it, if you're buying it. And man, like I said, I don't think it'll be big drops. As far as big spikes, it'll probably be a while before you see any big spikes. So maybe it is a time to pick it up because it might be as low as it's gonna get for a while.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
selling on this book anytime that that you got a good deal on it and you're looking to sell it, you're pretty much looking at a good time anytime. You're gonna make money. Yeah. You can find a book for a good deal. So. There's really no wrong answers with this one.
Well, the thing is, and when I said that she kind of plateaued, I never meant to say that she was actually going to be taken off the table. Like she's definitely going to be around the DCU, at least from the publishing side. And like you said, if Batman's around, she's always pretty much going to have some implication in the storylines. And I think this week they're even doing a new Harley Quinn series, right? With the whole Infinite Frontier thing. Yeah. So yeah, she's going to be around, but I just feel as a character herself, like the freshness is kind of losing. She's kind of losing that freshness that she once had. So,
yeah,
for sure.
You guys know how it is, right? I mean, we see it all the time, just in a short-term thing with like New Comic Book Day is a perfect example, right? Like we hype ourselves up from, you know, Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning till the next Wednesday. And then as soon as Wednesday comes, what happens? We're on to the next thing and we forget all about the next, you know what I mean? And it's almost that sports mentality for like coaches where it's like, what have you done for me lately kind of thing. And it's very true when you think of this book, right? With like Harley, it's like, well, what have you done for me lately? I get that she's super popular. I will never take that away. She's super popular. You guys have heard my theories on marketability as well, right? Where, you know, if you can get people, you know, like face it, you know, like at the time when she came out, I was doing an internship at a retirement home, and like I saw old ladies dress up as Harley Quinn. I saw, you know, young girls, girls trick or treating, you know, grown women, moms, you know, like everybody. So like that also adds to the character. I just think if you're really nervous about making a positive profit here, this is probably where you kind of want to just cut your ties and move on to something else, because I don't think going up is going to happen very fast, but you might be able to get really good deals. And especially if like other characters like Poison Ivy or Freeze or things like that happen in the DCU, like it's just bound to happen, right? Because everybody will want those characters, and then they'll kind of just, you know, low. So,
you know, if DC wanted to do something really creative with Harley, kind of different, they would just say, "Fuck it, you know what? We're not gonna do any more episodes of the animated TV show. We're just gonna turn that shit straight into live action, but no balls."
Yeah, yo, Ancient Mariner, that is a terrible time.
Oh wow!
Oh, crap, man.
Damn,
Oh, man.
That hurt.
Oh, jeez. Hey, it is what it is. It happens, man. It happens.
I mean,
You know, we all have stories like that, so you know, it is what it is. All right, guys, we're moving on to the next book, and we've got one of my favorite books of all time. Well, not of all time, but you know, just it's up there. Doc J. No, I mean, you know how it is, man.
Bro, they got old lady Harley in the DC universe.
Yeah, they do.
This one is Fantastic Four number 19. That is super, super early. Obviously, if you guys can count, which I know you guys can. 19th issue. This is huge. Early Fantastic Four is, I'm not comparing, so I don't want everybody to freak out, but it's almost comparable to the Spider-Man run, right? Basically, the first 50 issues of Spider-Man are super hot, super fire. They're super expensive. Same thing with Fantastic Four. There's a lot of them. I would say 1 to 52, just to, you know, get that one in there. But and I'm biased with this one because, you know, I say it all the time. Outside of Iron Man, Fantastic Four is my thing. I love Fantastic Four. I love the art. Here's where it gets interesting.
Hold up, newbie. Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you real quick because you just posed a really interesting question to me that kind of suits what we're talking about. So I want to get your guys' opinion on it real quick. So what would you take? ASM 1 through 50 or Fantastic Four 1 through 50?
Ooh.
I personally think the answer is pretty simple.
Do you?
I think the answer, and it's for
no. You know what? Yeah. I think right now.
I don't think the answer is as clean cut as Hyper thinks it is, but
it's not.
Well, okay, maybe I'm narrowing it down to one particular issue.
Okay, go ahead. Hyper, go ahead. Throw it out there. Let's hear it.
Okay, only because.
What's your thought?
So this is just my thing. ASM 1 is not the first appearance of Spider-Man, whereas FM 1 is the first appearance of Fantastic Four.
Correct.
And it is considered one of, like, I guess, Marvel's first families. So I'd have to look up. Now I'm not really sure value-wise which one is higher than which, but isn't FF1 technically a higher grail than ASM 1?
Yeah, huge.
Honestly, I'm not sure of the value.
The only thing that hurts it is like Fantastic Four 2 and 3 is like, the first appearance of new suits and like the fantastic car, and then like 4 is huge, 5 is huge. You have the super scrolls, the scrolls, molecule man, things like that. Diablo.
That's true. Holistically, maybe ASM definitely has a little bit more punch in its first 50 issues in terms of the first appearances. But I don't know.
I think right now in today's time, because where we are going with things, and again, the fact that it does not include Spider-Man's first appearance. Right now in time, today, March 9th, I would go with Fantastic Four, to be honest with you. That's where I would go.
Yeah, honestly, as far as an investment, it actually is pretty clear cut in leaning towards the Fantastic Four side, because with the Fantastic Four, okay, so Spider-Man, you get a bunch of cool Spider-Man characters, which is great, but with Fantastic Four, you get fucking franchises. I mean, you've got Fantastic Four, Black Panther, Silver Surfer.
Well, wait a minute. You said, hold on a sec, but I said up to 52, but you said 1 to 50, so you can't include Black Panther in there. But you do have.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I agree with you 100% though, because you have Ramatut, you've got like Ultra Set. Big shout out to Ultra. You got Silver Surfer, Galactus.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got Humans. There's so much going on, and the scroll. Like, there's just a lot right now in time. If I was meeting somebody and they said, "Hey, what 50 books do you want?" I'd probably go Fantastic Four.
And it's the first Silver Age appearance of Namor, also, because the Golden Age. Out of reach.
Number four. That could be the big grail that I'm going to be revealing on Friday. We don't know. It could be. We don't know.
Love Spider-Man and everything, but yeah, I mean, Fantastic Four's got to win out. It's pretty simple when you got that many different franchises that you can get out of it.
Yeah.
All right, so back to this book.
So back to this. Yeah, so Fantastic Four number 19, and here's where this one gets a little interesting. Is I put who is Kang, but like I meant to put like, do you know it's Kang? So that's my mess up. But yeah, for those of you keeping score and who don't know, Kang is actually Ramatut. Ramatut is actually first. And I know what people are saying, but wait, newbie, Kang is the one that's confirmed for Ant-Man. They could be throwing you a curveball here. It could be a teaser, just like they did, like I was pumped when Mephisto and Blue Marvel showed up in WandaVision. Like I was so pumped for that. Like when those two characters showed up, I was like, woo, yeah, we did it. Obviously I'm kidding, but I do think that they do throw curveballs. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start off with Ramatut and Kang is something that goes throughout, kind of similar to Thanos. Again, when we all found out about Kang going into Ant-Man, I don't think anyone, and I know Hyper, Keys, and Face's answer, nobody thinks that Kang is going to be in the whole movie or that Ant-Man is going to take down Kang. It's just, it can't happen, okay? It just would be crazy. But when it comes to this one, I think that we'll be seeing him as Ramatut first. And I know villains don't really necessarily hold up in value like long term. But if you could get in right now at a 3.0 at 350 Canadian, which is pretty cheap for super early Fantastic Four white cover, you might be able to, if not triple, at least double your money when he does come. It's going to be one of those characters that I think even after that Ant-Man movie, we might be like, oh shoot, is he going to, like, who's he going to be in the next one? Or like, when are we going to see him again? Especially with all this time travel and multi-universe stuff. I just have a really good feeling about this one, especially when it comes to villains, because we already know Kang's coming, so who's to say they don't do it or start it with Ramatut?
Yeah. I mean, I get your theory that he probably might appear as Ramatut, but the thing is, I would think most collectors, if they had a choice between FF4 issue 19 versus Avengers 8, I have a feeling they're going to be leaning more towards Avengers 8 if they had to pick between either book. For that reason, I'm going to say this is a buy, just because eventually when we get more news and, those shots of the actual costume and all that of Kang appearing in the MCU, I think that book is going to start getting out of people's price range. And then the next best thing is they might start leaning towards that FF issue. So for that reason, it might be now might be the best time to buy it, because it is kind of flying under the radar more so than Avengers 8, because we've seen Avengers 8 over the summer pick up some heat over the news of what's the actor's name? Jonathan Majors?
I think so. Yeah.
That is it actually been confirmed that he actually is?
I don't think it's confirmed like 100%. I just think that that's like one of those things, like, John Krasinski is Reed Richards. Like, I think it's just like what people want to happen, but it's not confirmed. I truly believe that, because if it was, I'm assuming, the very knowledgeable comic collector would be grabbing both, and this price would be already doubled. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, between the two, I think this is flying more so under the radar than Avengers 8. So I would say now is the best time to pick it up, because once Avengers 8 starts getting priced out, I'm sure people would want, like, especially if they want like both appearances and they want to be completionists, they might. It's like the whole thing about Hulk 180, 181. Ideally, collectors would want to have both to kind of, squash that argument. So I think this is a similar scenario that they might want to grab Avengers 8 and then chase after FF19. So,
Sam, man, I love Sam, because anytime we bring up a book, he is always on eBay. I love it. Sam saying somebody's selling a 7.5 CGC for basically $1,800 on eBay, Canadian. That's. I mean, I'd probably be a player at that if I was super interested. I'd probably be a player at like 13, 12 maybe. But
which is not, I mean, for an early Fantastic Four issue that's like an issue 19 that's only selling for $1,800 for a 7.5. That's not so bad, actually.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Pick Spider-Man or Fantastic Four. Where are you on this book, Face?
This is a pretty easy one, like without even taking into account anything that's happening in the MCU or anything like that. Fantastic Four 19 is old as fuck, and it's not going to go down in price. So it's a buy, because, I mean, you're not going to ever see a lower price on it. It's just going to continue to appreciate in value over time, just because, these older copies are going to be harder and harder to find. So yeah, if you're looking to pick it up, now's the time.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Moving on from one of my favorite books, to be honest with you. We talked about this on the Spec Show, but we've got Loki, Agent of Asgard #2. Now, we all saw the blow up from WandaVision. Pretty much anything Scarlet Witch, Wanda, and Vision just popped off. It was crazy. I will think that the same happens for Winter Soldier. The same happens for Loki, more so in the Loki, because so many different things could happen, where Winter Soldier, it's kind of limited in my opinion, in the sense that it's like, on Earth, yeah, there's super soldiers, but like it's not going to be magic or multi-universes or anything like that, right? It's going to be action-packed on Earth, like let's go, things like that. So I think that you're limited in what the possibilities are. The Loki one, I think, is going to be the big winner. Even looking back, I think it's going to be the big winner. But this is one to get. It will get hot, I guarantee it. But it is the first appearance of Loki as a woman. Raw copies are selling around $40 to $50, I believe. It's just gone up like crazy. A lot of people are on Kid Loki, the woman Loki, things like that. There are some rumors out there. There are some, I think, pictures or something, leak stuff out there that this could possibly be a thing, or there was a female dressed as it. I can't remember the exact information that I saw or grabbed, but it's up here. So I just thought, okay, let's put it. I really do think that this is going to be a winner, even at $40 as the buy-in. I think this is something you can grab right now and possibly make a few bucks if you're looking at this book just from a standpoint of, making a few bucks, like getting some profit.
Yeah, but the thing is, with this book, I kind of feel that it's gonna be a scenario where once the show hits, this particular iteration of Loki is going to be one of those things where it's going to have its day in the sun, and then I feel it's going to get back on that downward trend after that. I
Yeah.
don't see this being one of those books that you should hold on for the long term. I think this is one of those books that hold it, grab it, and then wait for that show to pop off with and if that appearance or mention does come of Loki as a woman, that's probably the peak. It's almost like the scenario with the whole White Vision thing that happened with WandaVision.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna get a similar phenomenon where it's gonna spike once it does appear in flesh in the MCU, but then I feel like it's gonna be downhill from there after that. So I would say buy now, I guess.
Yeah. The show doesn't come out till June, so I mean, you have time to buy it now and then just flip it in like 3 months. So
yeah.
If you're looking, it's probably a buy, because I don't think that over the course of the long run that you're going to see much lower prices on it. It'll probably stay steady at this until there's some actual movement on the character, if there's going to be any. If there's not, again, it'll probably stay right around these prices. Is pretty much where it's been staying at without anything significant happening. As far as selling, I would definitely not want to sell it right now. Hope for something to happen with the character if you're looking to make money off the book. So I'd say if you're looking to buy, pick it up. But other than that, it's probably a hold across the board, and hope that you do see something turn up with the character. And with it involving time travel and the TVA, I mean, there's good chances that you're going to see all kinds of crazy shit on this show. So
yeah. The thing that really stands out to me is looking back and going back to the trailer, right? Is like there's been one trailer and there's like 7 different haircuts that the guy has, which leads me to think there is, and that's important. Like, I'm not just trying to be funny, but like the fact that he's got 7 different haircuts, I mean, we're only going to be getting like, I think 10 episodes, 12 episodes max. So out of those episodes, like, why does the guy need like 7 freaking haircuts, right? So that just leads me to think it's going to be different times. It's going to be different multiverse, things like that. And we know that he's capable of it because he's got the stone, the magic element, the multiverse element, all that stuff is in play for that show. And I think that one is just is going to be the winner. When we look back, like, there's a lot of people that are like, oh man, WandaVision is the winner. It's amazing. Yeah, it's the first one though. Like we haven't seen Winter Soldier yet, which again, it's not in the same like magic and all that, but like, Loki is, She-Hulk, Moon Knight. Like I really do think that the Loki one will be the winner. Like when we look back, we're gonna be like, man, that was like unreal. So,
and the thing is with this book, this is one of those books that I have a feeling that a lot of your LCS, if they have like a very big back issue section, you probably could find this in your back issue, because it's not one of those issues that a lot of store owners are probably like having on their radar to actually hike up the price on.
Yeah,
I was able to grab this one over the holidays for like $2 during a half off sale in the back issue. So it is out there if you can.
Yeah. One thing I would add on this character though is the fact that even if she should show up or whatever though, it's kind of one of those things that's a little dicey, because I don't see Tom Hiddleston going anywhere as Loki, so she's probably going to be more of like a temporary thing, So
that's what I figured also.
Yeah. All right, switching gears, we are going to, man, I can't believe it, but I try to get with the times, get with what's going on, with what's coming, with what some people ask me throughout the week. But this one was subject to a lot of conversations privately. Like there's no, whatever. But what is it? Well, we got Avengers 43. It's the first appearance of Red Guardian. The Black Widow movie's coming. He showed up in the trailer. I think, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, I'm trying to think of the words. I think he's one and done. Read between the lines with whatever you want with that, but I think he's just a one and done character. Raw copies are selling anywhere between $40 and $100 Canadian. A CGC 4.0 just sold for 160. Again, it's the 43rd issue. It's still fairly early, right? So it's these prices, even low grade. That's what you're going to see. CGC 6.6 recently sold for 250. Me personally, and I don't want to offend anybody who collected this, stacked it, has multiples, or is crossing their fingers that this is big. It hasn't caught hype even after the trailer. It hasn't caught hype even on the dip. It's time, and even if you sell it, you're probably not going to get anything close to what you spent or what you think you're going to get. But for me, this is like sell or don't even look at it. Like I wouldn't buy it and I wouldn't hold it. I would just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I think this character probably got its peak when they announced David Archer as the cast, the guy that's going to be playing him in the Black Widow movie. And then you've noticed that ever since then, and because with the whole Disney reshuffling their schedules and all that, this book has kind of took a hit in terms of its value over the course of months. So it kind of tells you, it's almost like a forecast into letting you know where this book is going to be in the future once that movie comes and goes. Because I agree with you. I don't think this is one of those characters that's going to be there for the long haul. This is going to be, he's going to play a role in the movie, but I don't see it being something where he's going to stick around in the MCU. So now is probably the best time to buy it because I have a feeling it'll once again hit another peak during the release of the movie, and then it's going to go back on a downward trend. Not to the point that it's going to crash, but just going to basically fall back to probably where it should be. Like it'll be basically like a market correction on this character.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, so I know we don't want to spoil anything here on Newbie Comics, but
yeah, we don't spoil anything on this show.
If you've been reading the on-screen comments, he probably gonna fucking die. But again, it's Avengers 43 early issue, so it does have that oldness factor that probably will keep it fairly steady on the price that it's at or whatever. As far as selling it, I actually would not sell it right now. I'd hold on to it because
sure.
And we've talked about this before. There's a large portion of the comic book collecting community that doesn't sit and read articles, or watch YouTube videos about comics and everything like that, and they just sort of pick up the comics that they want whenever they go into the comic shop and grab them off the shelf, or they've come across them on eBay. And there will be a FOMO spike on this book probably when the movie finally does hit, and that's probably the best time to sell. So you don't have very much longer to hold on to it. So I don't think I really see any real reason.
Yeah, I think the movie's dropping soon. I'm pretty sure from what I'm hearing, it's going to be, if not before that Loki series in May, like right after. So I'd be on the lookout for it right now. The thing that it has going for it too is that we've only seen two trailers of Black Widow, but that was like many moons ago. I think we were still in 2020, and it's been a quiet. And all those characters, like you look at Inhumans 5 that everybody was going nuts for. It's been super quiet on that book too, but it'll get another bump once the movie comes, and it's just what happens, right? So yeah, May. So it is May. Yeah, so it'll probably be right after or right before the movie. So
yeah,
that's crazy. You saw what happened in Wonder Woman 84. Yeah. Oh, okay. So there is an official date. So it is May 7th. Okay, cool. How many episodes are in Winter Soldier? Do we know?
6.
That's it? 6?
Yeah.
6 episodes, yeah.
Okay, so it starts on the 19th. So that gets you what? So we'd be done a week before the movie. So it'll be Winter Soldier, then Loki right away.
Yeah, because I don't know if there's going to be a break between this and Loki, or if Loki's coming like the week after that. I'm not sure.
Well, no. The Loki movie's June 11th.
Oh, that's the actual release date for Loki?
Yeah.
All right.
So, All right. Well, I think we all agree that it's early Avengers, and that has that going for it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Next book. I know so many people want to talk about this book. Man, I hope I'm not spoiling it for anybody, but when Mephisto showed up in WandaVision, woo, in Friday After Next with Chris Tucker and Ice Cube, and they're like, damn, that's exactly how I was feeling. I was like, damn, Mephisto, woo. But that never freaking happened. So I really am interested to see the people who own the book, what they think, especially those people that went crazy to buy it just to flip it. I feel so bad for you in that sense. But here's the thing that I would say. And that's a joke. That first line is a joke. He did not show up in WandaVision. So please don't be like, Newbie, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, we all know what this is. First appearance of Mephisto. He didn't show up, like I said, how we wanted. However, this is a huge, huge, huge hold for me. I truly believe eventually we will get him. And the people that kind of are pissed off at what happened might be like, oh, okay, forget it. I want to sell it. Right. And that's where, not the good collectors, but, just the people who know what they're talking about. And, when you're talking about, making dollars, I think that's what's going to happen. So you're going to see this book still be up there in price. A lot of people are still going to buy it because they're going to, be grabbing it from people that are like, oh man, it didn't pan out the way I wanted to. I'm on to the next thing, blah, 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 blah. I think this is going to happen eventually, but again, anything could happen, right? So who knows? This book to me is a hold right now. I don't know if I would be buying it just yet. I would kind of wait until Winter Soldier comes and all the hype and focus is on that. You might see it drop a few bucks. So that's why I'm saying right now, as of today, it'd probably be a hold. Maybe 2-3 weeks from now, it's probably a buy, but I definitely would not sell this book.
Yeah, I mean, despite, I guess some people's expectations of how they wanted WandaVision to play out, I think I and a lot of people still feel that this character is going to show up in the MCU at some point, especially like I mentioned, like they are going to be going down that horror route. They have stated that starting with Doctor Strange's next sequel movie. And to your point, this is one of those books that if you were on the fence of actually buying it, I would wait at least in a couple of weeks, because this book was definitely spiking because of the rumors circulating around the character appearing in WandaVision. So I would say let this blow over so that, collectors and buyers are onto something else and that their attention is focused on, because that's how it is, right? The community, once, give it a few weeks, a month or so, and this book will probably start to dip, not drastically, but probably enough that you may be more comfortable in buying it. So I would say hold off on actually buying it. And for those that actually have a copy, I would hold off on selling it altogether. So
yeah, and Face, before you go on, I just want to touch on Ultra's point, because I actually forgot. I kind of wanted to touch on that too. Is what about the people who bought the reprints for, like, man, if you go look at what those were selling for?
Now, did they buy those did they buy those not knowing that they were reprints? Like, did they actually get tricked into? Because I've seen some people buying facsimiles. Like,
yeah, I feel bad for those people, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean,
Newbie, do you think Mephisto will show up in Doctor Strange? Oh man, that's a good question. I think that's where things shifted once he didn't show up in WandaVision, right? I don't know. After seeing WandaVision, though, the way it ended, I'm starting to feel like maybe Wanda will come back as the big bad villain. But this is a character. This is a character like Living Tribunal or the Beyonder. Like I just feel like there's potential there. It's just about the right timing. So hopefully we get it in Doctor Strange. If not, like Hyper said, right? Like we all know that horror stuff is coming. We might have to just sit back and wait for it. That's all.
I personally don't think he's coming in the next Strange movie, because I feel like they're going to be going in a different direction with WandaVision, and possibly, I think you're more likely to see Catan appearing, or Nightmare, more so than Mephisto. So
what about what's his name? Mordridge? Mordo? More? No.
Baron Mordo?
No, not him. Oh man,
Oh, you're
it's
talking about Mordred the Mystic?
yes, that's the one. That's the one.
I'm
What
drawing
is
a blank.
it? Marvel Chillers
Marvel Killers 1.
1. It's a purple cover.
Oh, you know what? I was actually just looking up that issue. I don't know for whatever reason, and that character did pop up. Okay, I don't know much about this character, so you guys have to take the conversation.
You know what's crazy is last Friday, I woke up an hour and a half before I had to go to work just so I could watch it, right? Because I wanted to spend time with the girlfriend and had stuff to do right after work. So I didn't want to just, do that. And I didn't also want to have to deal with all day, people messaging me or posting shit about the show. So I woke up early. And like the first thing that I noticed was I went on social media because I think you guys had messaged me and, whatever. Every morning I wake up, there's a bunch of stuff. So, and a bunch of people were like, man, I'm so happy I kept this book. And there was like 4 or 5 posts of that book. And I was like, oh man, really? That showed up? And then I watched the show thinking in my head, like, oh, he showed up or it's crazy. And the whole time I was watching the show, I'm like, when is this guy going to show up? And he didn't. So I was just like, oh man, that was just like just people were really happy to have that book, I guess. So.
Well, it is a good book to have. I mean, it's first appearance of Mephisto, so it's always a good comic to have in your collection. It's a definite hold. They're gonna do something with Mephisto eventually. He's too much of one of the major big bads in the Marvel universe to not use.
Yeah.
As far as buying, it's probably the time to start looking into it. Again, like you said, you might want to wait another couple weeks and you might see a little bit lower prices, especially after the newness has worn off of the WandaVision and everything like that. But you're already seeing people starting to offload copies of this because it didn't pan out in WandaVision. There's no patience in the comic community. we're collectors that hold on to shit for years, but we've got no patience.
There's too much panic selling that tends to happen. Sometimes I think people need to, take a minute and just, let the tide play out. And it's funny,
Right.
Freaky was mentioning a book that I actually mentioned this past Sunday for Undervalued first appearances, and that was Blackheart. So the son of Mephisto. So that is, pretty undervalued book. So that's also another book you may want to look out for. Daredevil 2.
Jay Hood, to your point, I know I have, but yeah, I think a lot of people aren't realizing that, and I think we actually got a little taste of that at the end of WandaVision, right? Because like her kids, we are under the impression that the kids are gone, right? Like the Hex is gone, so they're gone. But where did she put Agatha? Probably in another universe, right? Because then she knows where she is, as she said. So then when the kids start screaming, to me it says, oh, somebody's trying to trick her, or those kids were from another universe to begin with. Because remember, she says, before she closes the door, she says, thank you for choosing me as your mom. So that's a lot of things to, you kind of have to dissect it, and you're going to probably overthink it. But it's just, there are certain lines and certain words that are used that kind of make you think like, So I think you can't deny the fact that, this opens everything up, right? That's what we wanted. When Kevin Feige said, this opens up Doctor Strange and all that stuff, this is what we're getting. We're getting multiverses and things like that. So I think they did a good job, but I think the Loki and the Doctor Strange movie, I personally can't wait. I think the Doctor Strange one is going to unlock crazy characters and crazy things to come, man. It's just going to be crazy.
But the thing is, you gotta remember, Marvel is very strategic in rolling out their characters. I don't think they're gonna pull a Sony and they're gonna dump all these characters like in one or two episodes. I think, like as we've seen in WandaVision, really people are thinking like Katana gonna show up, Mephisto's gonna show up, and really we just got Agatha Harkness showing up, and because they need people to kind of marinate on certain characters a bit longer. They don't want to oversaturate, the viewers with too many characters in one shot.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel's had the advantage of doing the multiple character thing correctly. One of the things that DC's never been able to do is the multiple character concept in movies.
Yep.
The reason being is because when they do it, they tend to introduce too many new characters at once, and Marvel has gotten away from that. They give us, multiple characters, but it's characters that we've already been introduced to in, previous movies. And we still love seeing them show up every time. You get excited, when every time there's, if Doctor Strange would have showed up in fucking WandaVision, people would have lost their minds. But we've already seen Doctor Strange, so it's just they've done it the right way so far.
And I do want to point out, for those of you guys and ladies who are keeping score, I did call, and I'm not asking for credit or, people putting my face in their stores being like, Newbie called it. But I did say that, that Paul Bettany, I mean, I always butcher his name, but I said, outside of my Magneto pick, I did say the character that he wanted to act his whole life with, I did say it was going to be him. And we did get that. So yeah, that's just, food for thought. I noticed that there's a ton of new people. So I just want to apologize. I was having a tough time with PowerPoint. So this isn't, if you're new to the channel or new to us, this isn't how we normally do it. We do have the PowerPoint, things like that. We got to do it this way because for whatever reason, PowerPoint was just not agreeing with me. So we're making it work. All right, next book. And again, I thought this one was going to be this, this one was hot the whole way throughout WandaVision. You did not go an episode without talking about this book, right? It seemed like after every episode, this book just went up because it was like, okay, we'll get him next week, or oh shoot, this is him, or so.
And what I like about it, he's actually on the cover.
Yeah, he's on the cover. Yeah.
And one other thing to add as far as this book goes, is there was a recent interview with the director of WandaVision who said that there was a deleted scene where Scratchy the rabbit was going to turn into a demon. So, you take that for what it's worth, but it seems like there at least was some intention to make some kind of loose connection there. So,
yeah. And people will overthink and just read between the lines from now until we see some of these characters again, right? That's just what we do. We spec. Even if you're not a speculator, you're always thinking oh, what if, or what, so it happens.
For sure.
All right, guys and ladies. Next book on the list is one of Face's favorite books to talk about. Oh, man. This at peak was selling at $1,500 Canadian for a 9.8. To put that into thought, I've been very vocal about this book was basically selling at the same price as a New Mutants 98 Deadpool. So you had White Vision being basically the same price as Deadpool. This was crazy. I've never had it. I'm not chasing it. I probably won't buy. I say probably because, if I win the lottery next week or this week, who knows? Maybe I'll buy one, but never say never. But I'm just not chasing it for right now. I've kind of changed my thought process on this book. I will admit. I originally thought it was going to be about a 3-week spec, 2-week spec, just however long he was going to be on the show. The thing that changed it for me was the sentence that he made. So we had the Vision in the Hex. They were talking, and then Vision kind of talks them down, and they stop fighting. And he basically touches them and gives them all the memories. The line that sticks out to me is once he opens his eyes and those flashbacks of those memories are gone, are done, he goes, "I am Vision," and then he flies off, and that's the last we see of him. Which leads me to think we're probably going to see White Vision at least one more time, which will probably only, the way this community goes and the way the market is, it's probably going to have another spike eventually at some point. Right now, I probably wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't dare touch. I would take Deadpool 10 out of 10 times. I'm never going to pick this book over Deadpool. But I do think that this book will have a dip come soon, just like any book. Every book has a dip. There's a downfall to every book. I think it'll happen once we get into, mid-Winter Soldier, maybe at the Black Widow part in May where there's not much going on. I think you might see a dip, and that's probably when you want to get it if you really believe in the character, or if Vision is your character, or if White Vision is your character. None of those things appeal to me. Vision is not a character I really latch onto or I'm attached to. So for me, even the original Avengers 57 was never a book I've ever wanted. I'm probably never going to get this one. So for me, it's a hold, but it's also a buy if you were to ask me, say, in a month.
This one kind of makes me laugh a bit because, again, my thinking is like, if you were really into this character, the entry point of this before he even showed up in WandaVision was super low. You could have got this book for 15, 20 bucks. So it's almost like if you're gonna get it, you would have got it anyways. So
yeah,
the fact that people waited until he showed up and then that were willing to pay $1,500 for 9.8 astounds me. And to your point, I do think that we will probably get another appearance of White Vision, but I know that some people were hoping that when the two visions kind of met, that they were almost going to merge, which didn't happen.
I did too. I thought so too.
I think that's going to be inevitable down the line, maybe in his next appearance or the one after. But I don't think we're going to get the White Vision for that much longer. Maybe because I think they want to put more of the focus on Wanda, more so than Vision in this case. So I think it will happen where the merging will come because, this is not a book. I mean, this is not a character that at least in the white form, that's gonna hold, that much longevity, in my opinion. So, if you have this book, I would say, I'm wondering if now
none of us have it, right? Like,
no,
you don't own this book. I know Keys doesn't.
Yeah, I have it.
Book. Oh, you have it? Okay.
I do have it.
Okay, here's the funny thing about this. Because I'm just gonna. I hope Pacino doesn't mind that I'm gonna share this story. He kind of is mentioning this in the chat. Because we have an LCS where we basically put books on our watch list, and if the book comes across the LCS, we get first dibs on it. He had this issue on his watch list before this whole WandaVision stuff happened. The LCS got a copy, and rather than contacting him, they put it on a claim sale for $15, and someone snatched it on Facebook. So yeah.
Wow,
so
that's messed up.
Yeah. So, and I saw him. He was trying to message the LCS on the comments, like, I messaged, I sent you a private chat, like, hit me up. And I don't think they honored it. So he ended up losing that book for $15 to someone else. So
yeah, and I think one of the things that's misunderstood or lost through all of this is that before this, right? Like before, even a week before that episode, this book you could find no problem, like for a fraction of the price. Like I remember seeing this book in dollar bins. I remember seeing this book in one of my shops at one time had a $10 wall, and that's what they did. They just put books up there that was just $10. Like you saw it all the time. It wasn't a book that, people thought anything of because Vision was still around. And even when Vision died, like nobody was like, oh, you know what? White Vision is coming. So yeah, it's, like I said, I think it's going to dip. Every book has a dip, but I think it will come as soon as we are all on the Winter Soldier train, probably near the end, because then we'll have like kind of, okay, everything that's going on in Winter Soldier, but at the same time, we know that we're going to have Black Widow coming. So in between that transition, I think you're going to see a dip in the book. And if you really, really want it, because, who are we to say there are no White Vision or Vision fans out there? There are. We just don't know any. So yeah, you might see a spike, but I also think that you'll see a dip before.
Yeah, I think the spike will probably come when he appears once again, which I like I said, I think we agree that he will appear at least one more time in the white form. But I think between now and then you will see a dip in this book. Because like I said, it's like my theory is anything that comes up super fast is going to come down, not at the same rate. But that's why certain books, when they have a gradual increase over the years, it's very hard for that book to start crashing because they have that intrinsic value in them. Yeah. When something gets that artificial spike in like a week or two, economics is usually where that book tends to, it's like a rubber band effect. Same impact up usually comes down. So, yeah.
Well, having this book, like I'll be perfectly honest. If I didn't already have it, now is definitely not the time to buy it.
No.
If I were intending to sell it, which I'm not. I'm perfectly happy to let it be a part of my PC. But if I were going to sell it, I do think now is probably a really good time to sell it. I mean, you're seeing some crazy highs for it. The sticky situation, like you guys have said about it, gets to be in his future appearances. And, we know that White Vision just kind of flew off, so we're pretty sure we're going to see him again. And that does make sense that he would show up, but I think it'll be kind of one of those things where it's more of a surprise. And when we do see him, it probably will be that one off in that he won't stay White Vision. He will probably revert more to his regular form.
Yeah.
And being as it'll be a surprise, you might not get that spike from seeing him because it's a surprise.
It also makes me think that Avengers 57 might come back in price. I mean, it's still a pretty it's an expensive book. Like, everyone has affordability in their finances differently, but I mean, you're talking about $500-600, right? Like, that's a lot of money, even with like a global pandemic, that's a lot of money to spend on something, right? So I don't know. I think even that book could have another spike when he comes, because I agree with Face. I think that when we do see him, I don't necessarily think we'll see him as White Vision. Maybe the start, but I think afterwards he might just go back to what we know him as, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right. Next book. Sticking with what we're talking about. Captain America #6, first appearance of Winter Soldier, the main character of he's a main character of that MCU core, right? We could definitely see a spike like we did with WandaVision. Like I've said, raw copies are selling anywhere between $20 and $40. There are two covers. This is the A, and then there's like a B. The B has Winter Soldier on it. He doesn't necessarily look like the Winter Soldier from the TV because he's kind of has like a Zorro mask. There's a huge Nazi symbol on it. This one has like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, but you don't necessarily see the full thing. Mm-hmm. CGC 9.4s are selling for 180. You ask Newbie, how do you know this? Well, I sold my 9.4 for 180 Canadian. I also had a raw copy that I sold for, I think it was $85. But I think that was like an 8.5, maybe an 8. It wasn't the best condition.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. So you're already seeing the people. I say the people. You're already seeing people in the community start to get on it, and this fascinates me because it's not like they just announced that Winter Soldier was coming, right? But people are going nuts to get it, and I say that because if you don't know, if you're out there and you just lived on Mars for the last 2 years, I want you to know this. I want you to know that there's going to be Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then there's going to be Black Widow movie. And then there's going to be Loki. And then there's going to be Moon Knight. And then there's going to be She-Hulk. And I think that every one of those shows is going to have the same effect. All the books are going to have the same thing. They're just going to pop off because of what's going on right now. This book, Hyper has told me, he's told me, he said, Newbie, I think you sold it a little too early. Maybe. You never know. It is like stocks, right? You never know when you're gonna get the price, but I thought I got a really good price. I doubled my money. So, I take that as a win. Could I have maybe gotten more? Maybe. But I just thought it was a good time to sell. Who knows where this book is gonna be in May? So maybe I can get it back at a cheaper price. Who knows, right? That's what happens. It'll have a dip. This one for me, if you have multiple copies, I would probably sell right now, but I'd also wait to hold for the show to kick off and, kind of get that WandaVision where everybody's talking about it. And, so I'd say maybe like the 3rd episode, probably unload, probably sell. You'll probably make a shiny penny, as they say.
Yeah. And I think we touched on this earlier, how it seems like even though we know the characters are appearing in the MCU, it seems like until we see them, like, on screen, it's almost like a seeing is believing kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Even though we know that they're showing up. So I do think that this book will, even though these prices are pretty good for what they were like a year ago, I think the value will go up once the show starts rolling in about a week or so.
Yeah, 19th, right? March 19th.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's safe to say, even though I don't know the script of the show, I don't know how the show ends. I think it's pretty much. I think it's almost a given that both Bucky and Sam Wilson will be appearing in future projects in the MCU. So I don't think they're gonna swerve us and take any of those two guys off the table. So if anything, I think this show will basically showcase them and put more of a spotlight on them, because in the MCU we always found them to be relegated to almost like backup characters to other major players. Whereas the fact that this show is going to be, they're going to be the focal point, I think it's going to do a lot to put some shine on these characters. So yeah, for that reason, I think if you have this book, you might want to hold on to it at least until then.
It's funny to me because like I know Keys very well. We've been friends. For those of you that don't know, he is the fourth Stooge brother. He is the fourth amigo on this panel. But sometimes he works.
You said Musketeer. You went with Stooge.
Or the Musketeer. Yeah, I used to say the Musketeer. Yeah, the fourth Musketeer. He usually works super early, so he doesn't join us. But when this show came out, like me and Keys looked at each other and we're like, man, this is like you and me. Like even in the last movie, like how they act towards each other, like in that scene where like they're in the car and like Cap is kissing that girl, like that's basically me and Keys. It's also like me, Keys, and another buddy of ours. Like that's literally how we are. So like, I know that it's just gonna be one of those like bro shows, you know what I mean? Like a lot of us are gonna be like, oh man, that's like me and my buddy. I really think the show is gonna be a success. It's gonna be way more exciting than WandaVision for sure, like action packed right from the start. So yeah, it's gonna be a big thing.
Question, newbie.
Yeah.
Which part of Captain America did you say that you and Keys, like, are you talking about? So you're saying you and Keys, it's a scene where Cap is
no. I'm saying like the way Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Oh shoot! Okay, I thought the dynamic between Cap kissing Sharon Carter.
No. I'm just saying like me and Keys are basically like Cap and Falcon, like going back at one another. You know what I mean? Like that's just how we are.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Face, where are you on this book, brother?
I'm just gonna let that whole mess y'all were just talking about alone. Yeah, sometimes Hyper's a smart guy. I kind of think you might have sold a little too soon on this one.
Sometimes I like that backhanded comment that you just gave.
Well, we got to qualify it just in case you come up with some some Teen Titans stuff or something.
Damn. Okay, all right.
But yeah, no, Hyper I think is definitely right on that. I think probably you'll see a little bit bigger spike once the first show drops, of course, because I think people are gonna like it. It's gonna be action oriented. It's gonna be a faster pace, I believe, than WandaVision from Go. So there's definitely a chance for a nice little spike at the beginning for sure. And he's gonna play a bigger part in the MCU, with Chris Evans and Captain America, signing off and everything like that. You're definitely going to see more Winter Soldier. It doesn't sound like Sebastian Stan wants to go anywhere. He seems to enjoy playing the character and everything like that. So he's going to be around for a while.
I think he's got a few things signed up for too. So we will see. I think you're going to see that because of what happened with Chad, T'Challa, the Black Panther character. Like they've probably had to switch gears. So we might see some characters that we might necessarily not have seen. Probably we will see a bit later.
Yeah. So, I feel like if you've got it, it's probably a little bit of a hold. If you're looking to make some money off of it, your sell time's probably coming on soon. And if you're looking to buy it, probably a good time to buy too. I don't really think you're going to see much lower price because this is a pretty serious hero pretty serious hero spec. I don't really think you'll see too much in the way of dips for it.
No.
And I do sleep with the mask on.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, it's a hold for me though.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold a
I
vibe.
mean, I made 100% profit on it. So anytime you can say that, you just kind of have to bite your lip. I probably won't look at what this book sells for when the show starts, just because it's like if you don't play the lotto, you don't really look at what the numbers are because that's a huge fear, right? So that's kind of what I do. If I sell something maybe a little too early, even though I got away with a good deal, when you see something, it might just you never know. So
well, I mean,
Well, you're
at the
not
end of the
wrong for
day,
selling if you're making money on
yeah,
it. That's your intention with it. It's like just barely too soon. Like you're on. It's not necessarily wrong to sell now because you are seeing some pretty good prices on it. It's just that it could go up a little bit more still.
yeah. But listen, I mean, if you made a good ROI compared to what you actually bought it for, then that's what matters. I mean, obviously, it's a different scenario if you would have bought it like a week ago and then tried to flip it because
yeah,
your return wouldn't have been as big as the time you bought it.
absolutely. All right. So the next book on our keep, sell, buy is Fantastic Four number 94. Again, Fantastic Four pops up. So, first appearance of Agatha, we know what happens with her, witch, magic, things like that. Raw copies are selling currently 80 to 250 Canadian, depending, of course, on condition. Now, with the thought, or rather, with us already watching the show and knowing that she is got her power stripped, she is in control. She's being controlled by Wanda, and she's put away somewhere where only Wanda can get her. The only thing that I can see happening here is, I think it was Hyper that told me this. But if I'm wrong, please, Face or Keys, when you watch this on the rewind, let me know. But somebody, or actually, it was Keys. It wasn't Hyper. So forget you, Hyper. It was actually Keys. Now that I think about it, it was Keys, because Keys made a good point, and he said Agatha, when she babysits Franklin Richards, she is only depicted in her home, which makes me think she will be the nanny of Franklin Richards next time we see her, which I don't see that being a crazy thing, because I really believe in Franklin Richards. I believe in Fantastic Four annual number 6. So for me, if I have this book, I'm probably holding it, especially if I've had this for like years. It doesn't make any sense. However, just know that you're going to see a dip, because who knows when we see this character again, which will probably make it really nice for people who want it, because it's going to have a dip. But this will, again, spike once we see the character again. I 100% believe we will see Agatha at some point very soon, especially with all the magic stuff that happens, whether it's her reference, whether it's, we see where she is as that character that's being controlled by Wanda. I really do think this is a hold for sure.
I don't think you're gonna have to wait as far as Fantastic Four to see the next appearance of Agatha. I believe she'll appear in the Doctor Strange movie. I think she might not have a major role, but I do feel that she's going to resurface in that movie, just because of the way things played out between her and Wanda in that final episode. I just feel like, I know that initially it was almost angled like she was like a villain, but it you could almost tell that she was doing it almost as a way to kind of like warn Wanda, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
of power that she possesses. So I have a feeling that she might take on a more of a different role in Doctor Strange. But I think I don't think you're gonna have to wait as far as FF to see her resurface. And as far as the book itself, I think this book will get a dip, because I think some people might feel that she's kind of off the table.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is going to be a case of out of sight, out of mind. So I think this is one of those books that will probably normalize a bit. And If you're into this character, just like with what was the book that we just said to wait on? I can't remember, but
Captain America 6.
yeah. If you're looking to buying this character, you might want to wait a bit, and give it like a few weeks or a month or two before people aren't really talking about this character, and then you might want to pick it up then. But if you were trying to make money off this, I think your peak would have been around that time of WandaVision, because I think you're going to start seeing some dips on this.
Agreed.
Before I jump into this book, I actually just remembered something that I wanted to mention earlier when we were talking about Vision. It's actually unrelated to the keep, buy, sell thing, but it was something that I noticed the other day. So I just want to mention it. When we had the X-Men movies with Jennifer Lawrence playing Mystique, in those movies, her makeup got increasingly bad through each movie because she didn't want to wear it. And Paul Bettany in a fucking Disney Plus series wore 2 different versions of one of the most intensive fucking makeup and outfit jobs that you could possibly do. So he is a fucking champ. Like, that dude is awesome for that. And that,
man, if they were paying me what they're paying him, I wouldn't even care about the makeup, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll do
all
it
that
every
money,
day, man. I don't care.
Yeah, all that money that she was making for those movies, and you didn't want to sit in the chair for that makeup. Come on. But anyway, I digress. As far as this book goes, I think, look, okay, so first of all, without taking into consideration any of the MCU stuff, again, this is a low-run Fantastic Four, so you're probably not going to see any huge drops in price just because it's going to have that, that effect of just being old as hell and steadily increasing over time. Now, when you bring into account the MCU stuff, I actually think that they're going to take a different route than you guys have mentioned. We know that Wanda's going to show up in Doctor Strange. I'm not entirely certain what to expect with that, but I actually don't think that they're going to touch a whole lot on what's going on with the Wanda storyline. I think might bring her in more as just like a power player to assist Doctor Strange, and it might loosely relate to what's going on with Wanda. They've told us that we're not getting a WandaVision season 2, but they've never ruled out the potential for Wanda or Vision having different series, or both potentially having series that continue on their own. And that would sort of make some sense for Wanda, because there is the whole storyline there with how she's going to get her children back. And when she does, of course, that'll play into the direction it looks like they want to go in bringing in the Young Avengers. And Catherine Hahn fucking killed it as Agatha. People loved her. So I think people are going to enjoy seeing more of her if they can. And I think Marvel will want to bring her back because she was an entertaining feature. They'll probably want to bring her back to, whatever they do with Wanda in the future as it directly relates to her kids. Well, Agatha in the comics was very important in her kids becoming an actual thing. So,
And Face, regarding the actress Catherine Hahn, it's funny you should mention her, because I saw her in another show that I just started watching. I kind of missed the boat on this when it actually came out. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She was actually one of the ex-wives of one of the cops on the show. So,
right, and I don't want to throw any shade, and I don't want to throw any shade out there to another channel or anything. But if Brian McClay don't step off my girl, me and him might have to meet up.
I don't know what that reference was about.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Brian McClay from CBSI also has a pseudo crush on Catherine Hahn after seeing her as Agatha Harkness. So
okay.
Yeah,
well,
I was like,
whoever gets a bouquet of flowers to her first, I guess, might win. So,
mine's already on the way.
Oh, hey.
Arrangement set that shit weeks ago.
Next book on the list is something we talked about the first book we did, but it is finally here. I don't know why it's so down in this PowerPoint, but we've got DC Comics Presents number 26. This is the first appearance of so many characters that you DC people love. So we got Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Cyborg, Raven, Star, Fire, Beast Boy. I'm not sure why I put Robin in there. CGC 9.0 usually sells between 120 and 150. Losing some steam with unknown status of Justice League. What characters and the Teen Titan characters that we might eventually see be successful? I owned this book many years ago. I had a 9.4 and I believe an 8. I think
newbie.
What's that?
If you can get the asking price on this book for the first appearance of Robin, you should sell.
Yeah. What's it called? I remember selling the 9.2 that I had. Was it a 9.2? 9.0, 9.2. I can't remember, but I got 50 from it. And this was like 2016, 2000, maybe 17. So I think it's a good deal, depending, especially seeing where it is now. CGC 9.0 sold for 120 in that 120, 150 range. I mean, I think I did pretty good. And again, with what's going on with Justice League and DC in general, I mean, I don't know. This one is is a buy, especially if you're a DC fan, because you never know when any of these characters could hit big. But I'm not chasing this. I could care less for it. It's just not my thing. So for me, it's kind of like a hold all the way through. I'm not buying. I'm not selling. Definitely just hold.
I'm kind of surprised about this book, to be honest, just because of all the DCU properties, I thought Titans was actually a really good show. I thought season 2 was much better than season 1. So I thought that show would have actually elevated the price of this book even more, being the first appearance of the Teen Titans. But it hasn't really done much like in making like a big blip on the map for this book. So I feel like the arguments that we were making for the origin of Cyborg on our first slide almost is like a copy paste for this one, and where nothing's really catching ground with the DCU, where I find that these books, they're not catching as much heat as they should be. And yeah, for that reason, I would say it's a buy, I guess, because I can't foresee this getting much of a huge bump in the near future. So
yeah, I mean they have a current live action series with Titans, and it's not bad. It's not the greatest show in the world, but it's not bad for sure. I enjoy it. But it really hasn't done much for this book. DC seems to get TV right most of the time, and the movies not so much. I'm not sure how they can reverse that formula. Honestly, it's about time to go ahead and just scrap the DCEU and start that shit over. But I don't know if they want to go that route. If they do, there is obviously some potential in this book. Lots of first appearances of quality characters. So if you can find it at a good price right now, it's worth a pickup. It's a book, so probably won't see a whole lot in the way of decline, but there is potential that it'll dip a bit. So,
big shout out to Tony, fellow Canadian. Thank you for joining me in Toronto. You are super close to me, so shout outs to you. I hope you enjoyed the weather today. And I say that because today was like gorgeous day. Tomorrow is supposed to be like 15 degrees. And then we're supposed to get snow like 2 days from now. So it's just a crazy world.
Nice.
I will say this. I want to bring 2 comments up that Brick Hunter and Jay Hood said, because I truly agree with this one. At least this one anyway. But this book suffers from cover. Like it's just an ugly cover. I mean, you got Green Lantern and Superman. There's a lot of shit going on here. It's probably one of the ugliest books cover-wise. Yeah. And then this one, Jay Hood is saying, why isn't this book the giant size X-Men of DC? I love it personally, but it's DC. So what would you guys say is the equivalent to giant size X-Men 1 in the DC world? Like, this is probably the closest thing you get. And yeah, he's right. It doesn't have that
probably,
one.
Probably a low grade Justice League 1, honestly, would be the equivalent of a giant size X-Men 1. I mean, I know the Justice League 1 is probably going to fetch more for more bread just because it's a lot older. I mean, with this book, I mean, it's going to be like comparing apples and oranges because the character statuses of with the Titans is nowhere near the X-Men in terms of the hierarchy. And plus, also DC's been dropping the ball quite often. That you start to lose some of that goodwill with some of these characters that you would have built up over time. So I kind of find DC kind of did this to themselves in terms of decreasing the value, but also just the hierarchy of the characters between Titans versus X-Men. There's no comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next book. We've got Marvel Spotlight number 32. First appearance and origin of Jessica Drew. Women in comics is super popular. Women and minorities and everything like that, which is crazy to me, right? It's 2021. It's crazy to me. It shouldn't even be a movement. Like, you know, I'm the oldest, and I got 5 sisters. So, you know, I was always raised with whatever a man can do, a woman can do. So when I see some of this stuff, like it's kind of annoying, but hey, it is where we are in society. But nevertheless, this caught a bit of hype. I'd say like October, November, maybe September, October, more so. A lot of people were picking this one up. Raw copies right now, they're anywhere between 30 and $100. The last CGC sold was an 8.5 for 250 Canadian. And I'm assuming with the, the dip and the quietness and how we are always on to the next book, it wouldn't surprise me if this book just keeps going down for the time being. For me, if you got it for nothing, I'd probably hold it. If you were looking for a quick flip, you're probably going to lose money. But I think it's on its way to buying status where, like, if you really believe in the character, I'd probably buy it just a little down the road because it is going down in price. So that's especially where you want to buy your keys, right? Is when they're going down in price.
Yeah. And the thing is, we know that Sony is the company that basically holds all the rights to all the Spider-Verse characters. So yeah, that's one thing that this book has going for it. Just because you know that because Sony has a lot less intellectual properties than Marvel in terms of the comic side, this would be a character that I could see them easily rolling out into the Spider-Verse at some point. Maybe not in the near future, but at some point, because of the Spider characters, she would be one of the more popular ones, especially that'll hit that female demographic. We already got the news that Silk is going to be getting her. I think it's pretty much confirmed, right? That she's getting.
Yeah, I posted that a few days ago, actually. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think you're going to start seeing a trend where other more prominent Spider-Verse characters will be appearing in the Sonyverse, because I'm sure they want to flesh that universe out and not just be Venom and Spider-Man only. I think they want to start building their own ecosystem so that they have something to bring to the table whenever they collaborate with Feige and the MCU. And it's not just Tom Holland that they're, constantly trotting out.
Yeah.
So I would say it might not be a bad time to buy this book, because I do think that it will get its day in the sun down the line, and it will get an increase.
Before
I
Face
agree.
Go, Style
go
Collector. Again, thank you for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. Like I told you last time, if you ever want to put your information, I rep everybody, but especially when you guys super chat, I would definitely support you. Much love, man. I really appreciate it. So thank you. Go ahead, Face.
That's all. Style. As far as this book, so it's a quality character in the Spider-Verse. They are leaning, it seems, more towards Silk and Spider-Gwen lately, but Jessica Drew ultimately will probably show up in the long run. If they cast her right, it could be one of those weird occasions where the live action or whatever they do with her, as far as that goes, could actually do a lot more for the comics that she's been in than you're seeing right now. Like her her comic book runs have not been classics. So, you haven't really seen any huge priced issues with her other than, like certain variant covers and pretty much this one.
And we know where we sit on those variant covers, right, Face?
Right. And so I mean, if we see a series with some good storylines, you could see some similar moves in the comics, and it could actually generate more potential for this character in the long run, as far as her actual comic book appearances too. So, all we can do is hope for the best and hope that they get the casting right and see where it goes from there.
I will say really quickly, before we go on to the next book, my casting vote, Blake Lively. There, I said it.
And here's the thing, though, because one of the storylines with Spider-Woman is her being a mom. You've seen that play out in the comics and all that.
Yeah.
In the MCU, you see a lot of paternal figures as superheroes, but you don't see a lot of maternal characters, at least in main roles. So that could also be something that they might play off of with Jessica Drew.
Well, Sue Storm says you can kiss her ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm talking about the current MCU, not like the Fox.
Okay, Jean Grey says you can kiss her ass too.
Wait, Jean Grey.
Nathan Summers.
I mean,
now shut up.
We don't see it, but we don't really see it in the cartoon.
You do right now.
Right? So,
you definitely do right now if you're reading X-Men.
Yeah, right now. Just quickly before we go to the next book, Hidden Gem is saying, do you think this Spider-Woman book will jump to a White Vision level in the future?
I hope not.
I think it's just that whatever popular, or like whatever's popular will jump. Like it'll just jump, like crazy. I don't think that's limited to any certain character. I just think they're all gonna do that. Just because of how we are in this community. Like, a character comes and we're all like, oh my God, and then we get it. So I think it could. I don't want to say yes for sure because any book has that ability. If they said a Yarn Man Dora the Explorer movie was coming tomorrow, the comic would just explode, right? So
I think there is a Dora the Explorer movie coming, isn't there?
There is.
Is there? Okay, well, hey, you heard it here first appearance. But I just think that's something that could happen, and I don't want people to just limit themselves to certain characters because we just saw with a White Vision that can happen. So it's possible. Big shout out to my favorite European, Sana. If you guys don't check out her show, you're missing out. She's funny as hell. She tells it how it is. That's what I love about her. She just finished doing a WandaVision review. So she was doing a review every week. I believe it was on Saturdays. And I'm assuming she will be doing one for Winter Soldier. So, if she ever asks me to be on, maybe I'll be on, but we'll see. But Sana, thank you for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining. All right. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Like between the whole thing about it reaching that White Vision level, I think this character has a higher ceiling than White Vision just because
100%.
White Vision is more of a transitional character, whereas she's an actual character that has a longer history in comics, and she'll probably have a longer stay in the Sonyverse. And shout out to Swaggle for actually agreeing with my point. I actually love a lot of the content that he puts out on YouTube, so at least I have one backer on my maternal instinct theory.
Swaggle House. I used to see him all the time in chats and even like on my show and stuff like that. And I really got to know him on Spine Ticks because they had him on, and it was kind of cool. They just had him. He was just broing out. He was just natural, real. And, I learned a lot about him and what he does. And, if you got an Iron Man 1 on your shelf, you're good in my books. And he did. So I think one of the first things I said to him was like, man, that top shelf with Iron Man, that's a nice book. So, yeah, definitely go check him out. He's a solid dude. Not to say nobody else is, but like, he is a good dude.
Hyper.
Look who shows up, Mr. Magic Lasso. Magic Lasso, everybody, will be on No Good Comics on Saturday, I believe at 3 going to get his origin story.
It was 2 p.m. Eastern.
So, or 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for it. What is Sith saying right here? He says, we bro out on spine ticks. Yes, you do.
I'm telling you, man,
what's going on?
Whenever you say spine ticks, he shows up.
All
It's
right.
like he's like Gazoo.
All right, next book on the list, guys. This book surprises me. This is Mighty Avengers #1. This is the first appearance of Monica Rambeau as Spectrum. This is a super undervalued book. Raw grades are selling anywhere between $15 and $20 Canadian. Spectrum looks to have a future as an Avenger. If you saw, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it's been a week. In WandaVision, at the end, one of the end credits is, the scroll goes, hey, he wants to see you. Him, I think we all assume, is Nick Fury. So that leads me to think that Monica Rambeau as Spectrum will be a thing. I don't think she'll be Captain America right away. I do think that we'll see Spectrum. So this book is definitely something that
Captain America.
I said Captain Marvel.
You definitely say Captain America. Catch that rewind, bro.
I said Captain Marvel. Okay, sorry. Captain Marvel. I don't think she'll be Captain Marvel right away. I think it'll be Spectrum, like I said. I don't like to brag about this, but I do like to point out and give the community some hope. These books are out there for $1. I just took Keys to Kitchener. We spent like 3 hours at a warehouse, and we literally found like 15 copies of this for like $1 each. So they're out there. You just got to look. This is super undervalued to me. You get the first appearance of her as Spectrum, and she's on the cover. That's the double whammy. That's what you want. I think she's going to have a future. I think it's going to be in the Avengers. I would probably look at all the stories and all the teams that she is a part of for some books in the future to definitely be on the lookout for. So for me right now, like I said, I told you guys, I found these in dollar bins, and I picked up, out of the 7 copies I picked up, I only have 1 left. People are just buying them. So this is definitely a buy, especially even at $15 to $20, but it's also a hold. I wouldn't sell this right now. I really wouldn't, because I think the ceiling is a little higher.
This one surprises me. I mean, it just shows a bit of inconsistency. Like, the same time you're seeing this White Vision book spike pretty high. I mean, this book did kind of spike a bit, but I honestly thought this would have been a higher price jump, considering that people were already on the Monica Rambeau train. You saw that the ASM annual book was shooting up in value, so I figured this was going to follow suit. But yeah, man, I picked up this book at cover price actually a month or 2 ago. So, like you said, this book is still out there pretty cheap in the back issues. And I actually just found the whole Mighty Avengers run for like $35, I believe, for the whole set. So it's still out there.
I think I got lucky. I think me and Keys got lucky. I had to, and this is no knock on Keys at all, but and I've messaged Hyper a few times where I'm like, man, I'm at a warehouse or I'm at a shop and I need help. Like, let me know what book, because sometimes we go into a shop and we get overwhelmed or we're only looking for one thing. But yeah, I had to remind Keys, and like we came across like 15 copies. I think he took home like 3 or 4 and I took home the rest. But I mean, when you can get them for $1, and it seems like the chat has as well, like, Marvell here saying he picked it up for $2. They're out there.
How did it go? Was it like when you and Keys were splitting up? It's like 1 for you, 3 for me. 1 for you, 3 for me.
No. I found them all. I went once by myself and I found like 7 copies. And then when we went back the second time he came with me, there was like more copies. And I was like, well, shoot, I've already sold like everything I had. Why not just grab more? And I did. And they were still there for $1. So
yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could think of why this book is not going as high as it is because it is a #1 issue. So this is probably a lot, #1s of like any Avengers usually has a higher print run, obviously, because it's the first issue. So that's why you're seeing a lot of copies circulating. So probably just a case of, high supply and not that much demand, maybe. That's the only reason I can think of why this book isn't higher on the charts than it is right now.
Well, you brought up the White Vision thing, and in regards to that, one of the things to remember about that and why the White Vision issue jumped as much as it did, Vision's first appearance is already pretty high priced, and there's not a whole lot of character keys for Vision. So in that regards, White Vision kind of makes sense that it did take that big jump, because you can't really jump on his first appearance at the price that it was. So now they were jumping on that White Vision, and well, now it's getting a pretty big price tag.
But that ASM manual is kind of going up there, especially those Canadian price variants in not the newsstand. Sorry, I think it's the direct, right? That's more valuable in that case, because the ASM manual.
And that's the thing with this one, because the ASM annual, it is rising in price, but still relatively affordable for most people. I actually picked a few months ago for like $20.
Oh, really?
I kind of agree with what VK on Comics is saying, is like, how is this not a $300 book? And what I mean by that is this, is the market, and we always talk about what the market says and what the community says, is the fact that history and trends seem to go on what the character will become. What I mean by that, look at Quasar, look at Toxin. Those are just the two that come to mind, right? You aren't hearing of people picking up and stacking the books of those characters when they're just, they just appear. You're seeing people pick up the books that character becomes, and you hear that term used very loosely, where people pick up what that character becomes.
But Monica Rambeau is not that same situation, though, newbie. Monica Rambeau is not that same,
like that Spider-Man.
Well, she's not that same situation, because when she was introduced, she already was a superhero. You know what I mean? So it's a little different with her. Like the first appearance of Monica Rambeau is always absolutely going to command a higher price probably than this book, as far as her appearance of Spectrum, based on age. It is her first appearance as a superhero. She did have a superhero identity. It wasn't like the Cletus Cassidy where you got him and issues later you got Carnage, and Carnage is the one you want. This one's a little different. You'll probably still want her first appearance because she was Photon initially or whatever. So it's a similar situation, but not exactly the same in that regards.
Yeah, I kind of see what Face is saying. Like, had she been just a civilian in that entire issue of ASM Manual, it would have been a different story. It's same thing like with Scott Lang's first appearance. It's not the same as when he actually dons the Ant-Man costume. So
right. Yeah, exactly.
So
shout out to 75 Archives. So we always go live every Sunday at 9:30. We do our new comic book day spec and comic news. Those are usually fun. And then every Tuesday, once a month, we have a different segment. So the first week is usually the hottest comics of the prior month. The second week is always Keep, Sell, Buy. The third month is always spec. And then the fourth week rather, is usually a segment we like to call, that we've just introduced. Big shout out to Tyme, who came up with the idea, but it's Grail versus Grail. So, stay tuned for that. Next Tuesday, we will be doing Falcon and Winter Soldier spec just before the show kicks off. And then the final week, we'll be doing Grail for Grail. But we go live Sundays and Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Big shout out to you for the support and tuning in, man. Really means a lot. Let's see. Star Wars Fiend says long term is Avengers 227. I don't even know off the top of my head what that could be. Which one is that?
I'm actually not sure either.
Sometimes these numbers escape me.
Star Wars double tap.
Especially that high in the run, like I don't know. I can't think of it. While you guys are doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next book. Next book is something that we've seen a million times out there. It is X-Force 100. This is the first appearance of X-Force. I think it's a super undervalued book.
It's newbie. It's the issue where she joins the Avengers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be huge.
Yeah, I mean that's another character key for her, and that's one of it's one of the nice things about her is that you do have a few different character keys that you can select from. So when they do start really rising in price, you've got a few options, and hopefully that'll keep prices somewhere relatively sane for newer collections and everything like that.
Yeah. Ride or Die, what's going on? Yeah, Star Wars Fiend got it before I noticed, so I apologize, man. Yes. So why I bring this up?
Yeah, that's New Mutants 100.
Yeah. Newbie, you.
Listen, what's that?
No, it's just your title. It's at X-Force and New Mutants.
Yeah, so I fucked that up. Sorry. Man, I was bound to have one mistake throughout this presentation, so just cut me some slack, man.
First appearance, 100 issues in.
New Mutants 100. You know what? We're just gonna skip this book, all right?
You know me at face better to know that we don't cut anyone any slack on our show.
Yeah, I know.
Oh hell no.
So New Mutants 100. Sorry, not X-Force 100. New Mutants 100. First appearance of X-Force. It's the last book in the run. Super. That's why I capitalized the undervalued word in this book. Even the book. So raw copies sell anywhere between $5 and $30. A CGC 9.6 recently sold for $85 Canadian. Here's the thing with this book. I know a lot of us have seen this book throughout time, throughout collections. We used to see it all the time. Not as much anymore. I don't think I haven't seen one of these in a collection in a long time. But you used to. Similar to the way you used to see X-Force X-Force 1, right? With the cards, like you used to see them all the time. Like if you go back even last summer, I mean, Keys can tell you went to a flea market and there was a place where, it was, they had like 50 of them, right? And you never look twice. I think this book has so much room to grow and legs. And here's why. I think the first appearance of X-Force and X-Force itself is going to be a thing. I think the fact that you look at the possibilities for Deadpool, the fact that Josh Brolin signed, I believe it's a 4 to 5, movie or project thing, that means a lot. Like how much can they use Cable or Deadpool, which leads me to think you might be able to see them. Now, here's the thing. This is going to be a book that a lot of people are just going to laugh at you. A lot of people laughed at me for a lot of picks I've made. But guess what? They usually end up messaging me like 2-3 months later and saying, man, Newbie, you know what? I apologize. You were on your shit. I really do think this has a lot of legs. And if you come across one, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If I find a 9.6 and I can get it for $85 Canadian, I'm picking it up. Like I'm not even thinking about it twice. I'm picking it up. 100%. This is a keep, hold, 100% on my end. Like I wouldn't be selling this book. I think it's just got way too much legs.
Yeah. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe one of you guys can clarify this. In the second Deadpool movie, they do kind of already reference X-Force, don't they?
Yeah, he's like, we're X-Force, and then they all die except like Domino and him.
Right. And at that point, Cable wasn't a part of it, like because he was pretty much on opposing sides because he was hunting down the kid. Yeah. It's true. I mean, things could be a lot different now that Deadpool is coming into Marvel. And yeah, man, this is a book that you tend to find, especially like if you go to like Facebook Marketplace and like some guys are trying to sell their comic book collection. This is one of those books I tend to find in those lot sales, or in those garage sales. So, you're right. It is definitely undervalued. I don't really know what to make of this book, just because usually with team appearances, aside from a few like notable team appearances, I don't know how much, I guess, stock I would put in the offshoots of these other mutant teams like X-Force and Generation X and those other, because we've seen different versions of X-Force throughout the years. We actually have one currently in the Hickman, which is vastly different than the X-Force in the 90s. So, man, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely it's not a bad time to pick up this book, because if it was to rise in price, it'll probably be down the line. But yeah, don't really have an opinion on this one. It's a tough one for me.
Well, before you get big shout out to No Good Comics. Like I said a few minutes ago, he's going to be doing an origin story with one of the good guys in the community, Mr. Magic Lasso. So make sure you guys go check it out. Nice. I believe it is 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. They go. I want to say it's 3 p.m. or 2. Okay, so 2 p.m. So make sure you guys go check No Good Comics and Magic Lasso. I really enjoy No Good stuff. And how he brings in people into the community, and you kind of get to know people in the community from a standpoint you necessarily wouldn't know. So big shout out to No Good for what he's doing. Make sure you guys go check it out. Face, go ahead.
Yeah, this is an interesting book. Like Hyper said, because of the fact that these sort of I guess like second tier teams haven't necessarily historically done as well as obviously the bigger teams like X-Men and everything like that, but we're also in a changing market too, and like you got it right there. This is an undervalued book, and if you see it in the wild at a good price, I would absolutely pick it up. One thing that X-Force has going for it is that we know that there's sort of been a push towards that lately in the Deadpool movie. I mean, you've seen, they brought in Cable and Domino already, and both of those castings have been pretty great. I mean, Josh Brolin as Cable, Cable's fucking old anyway, and it sounds like they're getting rid of Kid Cable in the comics, so he's not really a thing. So it sounds like Josh Brolin can go ahead and just play Cable for, the foreseeable future. Zazie Betts was awesome as Domino. I don't see her going anywhere. We know Ryan Reynolds is playing Deadpool for as long as he can.
Yeah.
So, I think after Deadpool 3, you're probably going to see a real strong push towards that X-Force movie, and you'll definitely see some pickup in this book. I'm not sure how high it'll go, but I believe it will go a good bit higher than it's going now. So if you've got it, hold on to it. If you don't got it, go ahead and probably pick it up. Mm-hmm. It's it's a really cheap book. So
even when you look like 5 years ago, this book was like 50 cents to $1. Like I remember people selling them like 2 for $1. So
yeah, I think I actually I remember it wasn't even hell. I don't even know if it was that long ago. I got something off of I think it was like New Cadia or something like that, and they threw it in as a free book.
Yeah, exactly. This is, like I said, this is one of those books that you'll find in those lot sales, that they'll throw in.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, I can't talk about free books because in a sale that I did, I sold a book and I actually threw in probably a 9.6, 9.8 candidate of Action Comics 9 free.
Ooh.
I gave away Something That's Killing Children 8, 1 in 25.
But I did this like in December, like mid-December, late December, and the person that bought this book from me was like, "Yo, man, I just want to thank you so much. Oh my god, like you gave me this free book," and it's like going, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, stop rubbing it in, all right?" Like,
you know what? I messaged the same seller when I bought my Ultimate Fallout 4 for $60. I messaged him saying, "Thank you so much. Like this book is really skyrocketed." I did the same thing that seller did to you. It's a good feeling.
Real assholes.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I had it like on eBay, on IG, on Kijiji. I had it for like $10, and nobody would like even blink twice. And then the second I take it off and just give it away as a freebie, oh yeah, you know what? It's like $100. I'm like, holy, yeah.
What the fuck is a Kijiji?
Kijiji is like Craigslist for Canada.
And Face, the guy that I met, we already had a report. It's not like I was an asshole and I messaged him saying, "Haha, I I swindled you out of 400. He knew that he come on, I'm better than that.
I love this stuff, so make sure second and third prints for this. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
guys,
If you see those, for sure.
it's not X-Force 100. It is New Mutants 100, okay? So, all right, next book we've got 4 left or 3 after this one. We've got Uncanny X-Men 244. This is the first appearance of Jubilee. Me personally, I'm not going to lie. I think this is the perfect time to buy. This is a low buy-in. A 9.6 CGC just sold for 135. Here's why this is important. I was looking for this book in the summer, last summer, even into the fall. And like 9.6s were like 250. So just take that into consideration of it literally went down $120.
Newbie.
It's crazy.
Newbie. I hate to interrupt you, but on this book, I actually didn't know that you had this one in the slides. One thing that we should probably go ahead and point out about this book, it was recently shown on IG, and I forget where I saw it. There was some sales recently for this issue that were kind of strange looking on eBay. So there might be some price rises that are not, completely
accurate.
True.
Yeah. It seems like there's some weird stuff going on with this book right now.
Like you mean like market manipulation, that kind of stuff?
The sales looked strange whenever they were posted on IG. It did look like there was some shill bids.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like somebody's trying to make the price rise, but who knows?
I mean, she did have her shine, right? Like last summer, this book was going nuts. And I expect it to go nuts when we get more mutants and things like that. But we'll see. Right now is probably the best time to buy. I'd probably buy and hold, especially if you literally got this book for peanuts. Like if you paid $50 and you got it graded already, I'd hold it. Like what's the point? Like just hold it. So just keep that in mind. There's so many raw copies out there. Ultra saying a 9.8 sales over 400. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty.
You see the price difference there. So that's 400. That's 400 American. So that is like 610, 590, somewhere around there for Canadian.
No, it's more like 520.
Probably about 500, 520.
520, 530, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's only off by $60. Come on. Yeah, for me, it's a buy because it's on the dip, like it's on the low, and you can find super clean raw copies out there. So
here's the thing with these mutant books. I think for collectors that are trying to hunt down any mutants in general, when Feige is, the more vague he starts being about like what characters are going to appear or not appear, it tends to basically cause an effect where all these mutant characters are going to start rising in prices because collectors don't have a direction of where to go in terms of what to buy. So you're going to find them basically doing speculations in their own mind, and they're going to start, purchase, like, had Feige, let's say, name drop, these are the mutants that are going to appear in the MCU, then you'll know, okay, these are the characters I need to hunt down. But the fact that we just know that it's just mutants, but we don't know which mutants, it's almost like you're finding a rise in prices in all these mutant characters, like Jubilee, Gambit, like basically anyone that people might think might appear in the MCU. So you might want to start hopping on these early X-Men characters just because I think you're going to start seeing some of these books rise in price the more mutant talk appears in the MCU. So I start looking, if you're already on the hunt, I would start looking into buying these. Face?
How long do you think we can leave it on awkward silence before Newbie comes back in a panic?
I think that, well, not so much for Newbie. I think the chat might start getting panicked.
Right. Jubilee's a great character. And, honestly, even with the stuff that's been posted on eBay or on IG about the eBay stuff going on, it's still probably a good time to try and pick it up if you can, because there's probably not going to be much in the way of significant dips in the future. Given the connection with Marvel, they're hopefully going to do X-Men right, give more character development time than we've seen in previous movies, and Jubilee will be fleshed out a lot better than the one that they gave us in the X-Men movies. She's a great character. She's, the animated series made her one of a lot of people's favorites. You'll definitely see her show up. Yeah, there's no reason to sell this book right now, unless you really need the money, I guess. So.
And the other thing, Face, I forgot to bring this up. She's also a a Chinese-born character in the X-Men universe. You don't really see a lot of Asian characters in that mutant sphere. I mean, aside from like the ones that I could just think of that are the popular ones are like Sunspot and the early Psylocke, I guess. But there's not that many Asian characters, so that Marvel is also pushing that diversity, platform with their movies. So that's the other thing that this character has going for it.
For sure, and honestly, I think they really wasted a good casting for her. The girl that they had originally had, I think her name was Lana Condor or something like that. She really looked the part, and she probably could have killed it in that role, but yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. Hopefully, they get a good casting on the new Jubilee, and people love her as much as they did in the 90s animated series, and I'm 100% on board for Ultra Maximus for X-Men development.
Yeah, and
first.
And Hawaiian, yeah, I was actually focusing more on the X-Men side. Like Shang-Chi is coming, but like he's not really considered a mutant, so that's why I didn't really name drop him.
Yeah.
At all.
I'm seeing a lot of people start picking up, stacking, hoarding X-Men 1. Obviously not the original, but those Jim Miller ones.
Did you call it Jim Miller?
Jim Lee. Sorry, Jim Lee. Not sorry.
That's a UFC fighter. I don't know. He started fighting comic books.
Sorry, man. I get so many things. Just
maybe he was looking at the dude's avatar earlier with the Mayhem Miller haircut.
It could be something though. You know what I mean? And we take it for granted because for years we've seen that. Like, I don't think I've ever gone to a collection, flea market, anywhere where I have not seen an X-Men 1. Right? So like maybe sometimes we take it for granted, but who knows? Right? It's something that could be up there.
But that's see, when you have a book that's flooding the market like that, the way you could differentiate yourself is getting copies that are in that 9.8 and even a newsstand, because I don't think there's that many newsstands of that Jim Lee X-Men in the high grades floating around either. I know someone in IG posted that recently. So I think that's the way you could differentiate yourself for these kind of issues.
Yeah. A certain spec video I saw recently talked about the rarest X-Men from 1991. But it wasn't from 1991. Ooh, what was it? What was it?
Is it those Ultra? Is it those issues that came in those pre-orders for those board games? Because I know like
fuck that Ultra. Don't tell them what it was. Just plug the video.
yeah, good. Yeah, smart.
Smart.
You know what I'm saying? Get them to watch, right?
The next book is brought to you by Mr. FaceTime. So we got Strange Tales 126. First appearance of Damam. Oh man, I fucked it up all the
time. Come on, give it to us.
Dormammu and
Dormammu,
which is the wife of Doctor Strange. Raw copies sell anywhere between, and I know that's a weird number, 156, but that was one of the.
Hold up, back up. You said Dormammu is the wife of Doctor Strange?
No, I didn't. I said Clea.
Oh shoot, I thought he said Dormammu.
So this is what. So Clea, the wife of Doctor Strange, we've all seen and apparently have got that confirmed. I don't know if it's confirmed 100% or if it's a rumor, but Clea will be in Doctor Strange 2, which is interesting to me. But yeah, raw copies, the last raw copy, the cheapest one I could find was 156 Canadian. I mean, it's an old school. You got 2 first appearances there. I don't know. This one was brought to us by Face. He wanted this one on here. He wanted to talk about it. For me, personally, I'm not chasing this book. Would I sell? Probably not, because who knows. But if I got it really cheap, I'd probably just hold on to it. I mean, I don't think there's any point of selling it right now. I would probably wait a bit, especially for a bigger gain, right?
Mm.
Man, my English is not. Man, I hate you guys sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's a hyper in face, because you guys point out my English flaws, man. So
What the hell, man? I mean, I'm just trying to help out a friend, so you don't, go to the bank.
we just like to draw attention to it.
You might be at your job and you might say whatever the hell you just said before, and so we're just trying to help a buddy out.
I appreciate it. But with that said, where do you stand on this book, Hyper?
Because we've already seen Dormammu in the first Doctor Strange, and
Yep.
honestly, he wasn't exactly the way I almost got that Fox Fantastic Four Galactus vibe when I saw Dormammu, even though at least in this case he actually spoke and all that, and it wasn't just like some giant ass cloud. I was hoping to see, I guess, a dude a bit more in like human form, but you know what I mean, like not just some guy in the cloud. So, I don't think. I mean, this book will probably just rise in price just because of the age of the book, but I don't see this spiking anytime due to MC news or anything like that. So, if you're gonna buy this book, I would just say now is as good a time as any to buy this. And you could probably make your money back if you're just gonna sit and hold out for the next few years, like with any Silver Age book that has a notable character. But yeah, that's my take on it.
I love this book, and that's why I mentioned it to be on here, because this is a great issue for this show and illustrating why it's so important to talk about these things, because of the different factors involved with this issue. First of all, Dan De La Torre nailed it on the head. Don't sell any Strange Tales issues. They have the longevity factor, so you're going to consistently see gains in prices because of age. The other thing that's really nice about this book is, like you said, there's 2 first appearances in here. Now, of course, as you guys have mentioned, we've seen Dormammu already in the MCU, and the thing with him is, in all likelihood, because he wasn't the main antagonist of the first Doctor Strange movie, Caecilius was the main antagonist, obviously, and Dormammu was kind of added in there to serve a role, but he is a big factor in all of the Doctor Strange stories. In all likelihood, at some point down the road, we will probably see Dormammu show up again.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, there's also the rumors that we're going to see Clea, and again, she is heavily tied to Doctor Strange. In all likelihood, we will see her at some point show up, even if it's not necessarily in this movie. But the really nice thing about this, is that it's the perfect time to buy it. There's nothing going on. You've seen Dormammu in Doctor Strange. We know Doctor Strange 2 is coming down the road, but it's not a huge factor right now. There's no definitive news on Clea. This is absolutely the perfect time to buy an issue like.
Yeah.
It's as cheap as it's going to get, and there's no reason not to pick it up, because none of the MCU spec even matters in regards to this book. It's quality just on the first appearances alone. You don't have to consider any spec news or anything like that from live action to even affect this book. It's going to gain over its lifetime for sure because of age. And it's almost guaranteed that you will see some kind of MCU spec if you are considering that type of stuff.
Yep. All right. We got 2 books left. Second last one. we've got Showcase number 22. First appearance of Hal Jordan / Green Lantern. Spoiler, it's the same person. 3.0 recently just sold CGC for $3,700. That's kind of what you're seeing with this book. I mean, there's a lot of lower grades for this. A raw copy 2.0 sold more recent than that CGC, but it sold for $2,200. So you kind of get the feeling, hey, maybe this is a grail. Well, it is. It is a book that a lot of people, especially those old collectors or people with money, have in their collection. It is a book that a lot of us want, believe it or not. This is probably on my top 15 list. If somebody ever said, hey, newbie, which 15 books, I'll go buy them for you, I'd probably add this one in there. This one, to me, it's tough because DC hasn't really done anything with Green Lantern. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds will not be Green Lantern. So if they ever did redo this, they're going to have to get a new character. It's probably going to be better than the last one. So I don't know if this surprises anybody, but this is probably a buy for me. If I had the funds, it's a buy because of the fact that if he ever does show up, there's a spike. They're probably going to get a good character, a good actor, to play it. That's a spike. And they're probably going to market it way better than they did the last one, which also tends to add a spike. So for me, if the funds were there, I would buy this book. It's a buy and it's a hold for me.
I would treat this book more as a blue chip hold, where because it's that Silver Age appearance and it is a prominent character, obviously one of the, the forefathers, I guess you call it, of the Justice League. It would be a buy and hold, barring any, news from DCU or anything like that of him coming, just because it is a classic character. That's the only reason I would even consider buying this. If you're looking at it from a spec side in terms of him appearing in media and all that, like I said, I've mentioned it a few times in the past 2 hours. I don't have much faith in the way DC markets their characters on the media side.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't buy it on that basis. I'm just buying it on the pure fact that it's more of a blue chip hold. So, and we know that there is an HBO Max series coming, revolving around the Green Lanterns. But again, we don't know which Green Lanterns are going to be showcased. You would think that Hal Jordan would be one of the Green Lanterns.
I don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. Because there's a lot of ambiguity right now, we're not sure where they're heading, like what direction they're heading in.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just don't have that much faith in DC on the media side. But from a character point of view, I would, and if this was a character you were into, it would be one that I would buy and hold, because it's almost like this is one of those books that that in 5 years you'll probably be able to make your money back if ever you decide to flip it. So yeah.
Star Wars fiend, that's top shelf right there, newbie. Yeah, 100%. But Hyper's absolutely right. Look at everything that we've already seen with this character. It was a horrible movie. There's not a lot of people that say it was a good movie. It was marketed terribly. The graphic, everything about it was terrible. Yet, even though it's DC, it's still selling at $3,700 at a low grade. So just imagine, and this is just the investor side of newbie right now talking, is just imagine if they got a really good actor, a really good product, and they marketed the shit out of it like properly. Like, you're easily doubling your money. So 3,700 might look like a lot right now, but I mean, if you could get 6-7K for it when something does drop, who's to say it doesn't even more? But like Biggie Shaq said earlier, right? Like, even without a movie, this is a big book. This is a big boy book, or big woman. It's a big book. So.
Yeah, this is actually another book that I had picked for the list, and I actually picked it for a reason. Obviously, this book, if you can afford it, is a buy. It's not going to go down in price. It's a classic key. It's a grail. It's old as hell. You know, you're not going to find a whole lot of them. But I actually wanted this book to be on here sort of for a different reason. You know, and you guys have touched on it already. You know, there's been talk about Green Lantern live action series and everything like that on HBO Max. And interestingly enough, most of the reports have revolved around different Green Lanterns.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that, you know, basically the whole reason that I had mentioned this book to be on here. It's interesting and sad at the same time what DC has done with Green Lantern. So for so many years, they've had Green Lantern around, and it hasn't it hasn't necessarily sold real well for extended periods of time, and because of that, man, it really seems like DC has just kind of shit on Hal Jordan over the years. Like, you'd think at this point they would sort of have moved into the direction of like the Batman family, because there's so many Green Lanterns. I mean, you have Simon Baz, you know, Jessica Cruz, Kelly Quintella, John Stewart, Guy Gardner. You know, you would
Even
think that with the
the
Green Lanterns at this point, maybe they would have moved like Hal Jordan into some sort of like mentorship role, you know, or whatever. Because we've seen John Stewart sort of taken up that mantle and that sort of leadership role. And for him to be in more of like a leader role makes sense. But if you're going to put him in that role, given that Hal Jordan's been around as long as he has, shouldn't he move into like some sort of like mentorship role or something like that?
Yeah.
But they're still trying to push the same basic storylines that we've got with him for years, and it's not really working. And I'd really love to see them do something different with Hal Jordan.
Yeah. All right. Before we go on to the last book, I just want to say, you know, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. You know, there's a few people in here who put out a lot of good content. If I miss anyone, I apologize. But first up, you know, I'll be with Biggie Shack on T Sands YouTube channel. I'll be putting the link in on Friday morning. I will be going for the Contender Championship. So, you know, me and Biggie right now are cool, but, you know, we might be facing off one another on Friday. It's a cool segment. They have a lot of fun. So I hope you guys check it out. 11 p.m. Eastern time on T Sands YouTube channel. Solid dude. And again, you know, you got like Comic Head, Biggie, you know, there's a lot of them. So really fun stuff. You can't go wrong when we talk comics. So make sure you guys go check that out. Saturday, we got No Good Comics with, you know, one of my favorite people, Magic Lasso. So make sure you guys go check that out. That's going to be interesting. You know, and again, guys, if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. Always got to give my shout out to Ultra. Ultra does, you know, some stuff with Flipside every Wednesday. If you guys think my spec is good, I'm a grasshopper when it comes to him, man. He is the, you know, he's up there. So make sure you guys go check him out Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And he's also got his own YouTube channel. With that said, before we go on to the next one, I will say there was a lot of new people out there. So thank you for tuning in. Again, Sundays and Tuesdays, 9 p.m. That's when we go. Yeah, Ultra just put his link there. So make sure you guys go click it. Like I always say, you know, make sure you guys go check out my guys. So before we go on to the last book, Hyper, where can we find you, man?
The handle hyper.combo.comics. I almost messed that up. It's on IG, and my YouTube page is on the bio of my Instagram page, so you could follow me there as well. Yeah, so a few things that I have down the pipe. I will be on the Cranky Canadian this coming Monday, where he'll be interviewing me, I guess. So tune in for that. That's at Monday at 7 p.m. on the Three Men in the Basement channel.
Yep.
And me and Face are working on something like a little sideshow. We haven't really got an actual date confirmed yet, but yeah, there's something in the works between me and Face for a little FOC kind of FOC-ish kind of show going down.
Sound it out, Hyper. Sound it out. Just three letters.
I know. This is your moment, newbie, to rag on me. And and I think next week me and Nubia are actually supposed to be on Team Nerd Herd during their mail call.
Yeah, on the 18th, right?
Yeah, next Thursday.
I think next Thursday. What time is that at?
It's their shows at 7 p.m. Pacific, so it's 10 p.m. Eastern, our time.
Okay, cool. So so that's all happening, and we can't forget about our guy FaceTime. FaceTime, where can we find you before we get into the last book? What's going on your side?
For sure. You can find me on YouTube at FaceTime. Actually, you can look it up. I think there's a couple different FaceTimes, but at least when I search it or had seen it searched, I usually come up at the top. So pretty easy to find on there. As Hyper said, me and him are putting together a show that's going to have some news components and some FOC components. We're just trying to flesh out all the details so that we get it done right and that we feel we're putting out a quality product that's people will be interested in and everything like that. So we're working on that, and Keys and I will have another show coming up in just a couple weeks.
What is it? Is it Mondays or Thursdays? The thing that you do with Keys?
We are actually going to be doing those on Monday or Tuesday. Where I'm going to talk with him and find out exactly what days works for him best. It's going to be a bi-weekly show that we're doing. We just started it out with that special that was attempted to be on Tuesday, but StreamYard didn't want to cooperate, so we had to actually push it back a couple days.
Exactly. Well, and don't forget, guys, Mr. Key Issues, he works earlier than all of us, so that's why he's not here. But I know he would love to be here, so I always put his stuff, and I always rep him and include him because he is part of the family. So make sure you guys go check his content out. I know he's got some stuff brewing. I know he just did a few things with some hunts that I did. And like I said, he's doing some stuff with Face. So that's all the information I'm dropping. We're going to go on to the last book. So we'll make the goodbye a little less emotional. So last book on our keep, sell, buy for the month of March. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one of the hottest things that I personally think is going to be huge, but it is G.I. Joe number 21. First appearance of Snake Eyes, probably one of the most popular characters in the brand. G.I. Joe's is going to be big. Star Wars big, I personally think. Copies selling like crazy. High grades have been holding at anywhere between 350 Canadian and up.
God damn.
Yeah, recently we just saw and I actually have a funny story, and I don't want to give too much away, but if Biggie's in here, there might be some G.I. Joe on Friday, who knows? But you also got to look at what just happened with Lady Jane, right? People slept on Lady Jane. All they did was say, hey, there's going to be a Lady Jane Netflix or Amazon show. The book just went crazy. I saw on eBay somebody bought a 9.8 of that book for $100. And then as the show was announced, a 9.8 is selling for $500. It is crazy. Yeah. Like crazy. We don't have casting. We don't have anything. All we know is there's a show on Amazon. That's it. Shoot, I have a show on Amazon, but my first appearance isn't going up. So
what's your show called?
It's not important right now. But
in the works. It's been often.
It's not necessarily G.I. Joe 21. I guess I could say, a lot of G.I. Joe keys in general, man. Like to me personally, their buys, especially if you can get them in really nice grades, but you're seeing the movement. Like if you're not looking at G.I. Joe, man, just take a few minutes, go on eBay, go on Go Collect, go check out what's going on. You'll be surprised. And I think there's a little bit of gold there that you will be able to pick up. That's all I'm going to say. But for me, not just number 21, but there's a lot of keys out there, G.I. Joe related. They're keeps and they're holds for me.
Yeah, and one thing about this issue is also, I believe this is a silent issue, right, of G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, listen, we're seeing a boom in all these 80s properties. whether it's GI Joe, Transformers, and my personal favorite TMNT. Because it's getting to that point that collectors of that era are basically getting that discretionary income, and they're buying these properties that were in their childhood. And to add to that, we know that the Hasbro universe will be having GI Joe. They are trying to expand it into. I mean, we already seen 2 GI Joe movies, but it will be expanded further.
Yeah.
So these books will probably, as you mentioned, gain more momentum as news keeps getting dropped. And this is one of those books, like, if you're a big GI Joe fan, you might want to start making some moves and start selling off some of your books to kind of fund these books, because I feel that these books will catch more heat than they are right now.
Yeah.
Guys, just want to put up a clarification real quick on the slide there. New, you actually have this as the first appearance of Snake Eyes. It's not. G.I. Joe 1 is the first appearance of Snake Eyes. This is the first appearance of Storm Shadow.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that, and then I was like, I don't know if you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I was like,
yeah, I just want to make sure we clarified in case anybody needed that.
Yeah, no, I was hoping that none of you would catch on.
I'm not a big GI Joe. So it would have been Face that would have caught that mistake. So
yeah, thanks.
my bad. I just didn't want anybody run out there and grab it thinking it was the first appearance of Snake Eyes and be like, newbie, what the fuck?
I mean, look, cut them some slack. They both start with the letter S.
Thank you, Hyper.
And it's 2 words. They're both 2 words.
They're
both ninjas. There's a lot of reason.
Yeah.
But
no. Yeah, Face. What are you saying with this book?
Fuck, absolutely. You know where I stand. This is definitely a buy. I know it's starting to go up in price, but man, the Lady J thing is cool and everything like that. But again, it could be like an animated series. Who knows what the hell they're planning?
Yeah.
And she's still a big part of G.I. Joe, and you're probably not going to see any, huge dips with her stuff or anything like that. But Storm Shadow and his relationship with Snake Eyes makes him even more prominent. This is definitely be a good pickup, even now with it going in price, because I don't foresee it going down. There's also been a lot of talk in regards to the Snake Eyes movie that's coming. And Storm Shadow is definitely going to be a part of that. So,
yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. I really have high hopes for G.I. Joe, Transformers, all that nostalgia stuff in general. So, for
gotta
me,
love the
it's
Canadians getting the real American heroes.
Yeah, it's just, it's just, you just have to buy properly. Like, I'll be very blunt with you guys. Like, you can find a lot of G.I. Joe keys out there in a lot of bits. I have been to like 6 different shops and 2 warehouses in the last 3 weeks since, where I'm at has reopened. The economy and society has opened its doors, and you can find a lot of these, right? But the thing is, like Biggie Shaq said it earlier in the chat, like, you want to kind of stick with 9.6, 9.8. Can you find lower grades of these books? 100% you can. But especially if you're coming from that, investment side and things like that, I don't think necessarily you're going to make enough as if you would if you looked for very high grade books. So just be on the lookout for those. That's all I can say.
The thing is, I'm not the biggest G.I. Joe fan, but I am an old school wrestling fan. So if there's one issue of G.I. Joe that I would be picking up, would be the G.I. Joe 49, which is the first appearance of Sergeant Slaughter. And I think it's his only appearance of Sergeant Slaughter in the comics.
I can't remember what number his is either.
49. I believe it's G.I. Joe 49.
Yeah. Hidden gem. I don't know if I can wait another Sunday for another stream. Well, guys, we're almost going on 3 hours, so I appreciate every one of you guys for joining. Like I said before we got to that last book, I already gave out all the shout outs. I plugged the channels. I support a lot of you guys, so thank you so much. You guys know where to find Hyper, Face, and Mr. Key Issues. And that's it. I'll leave you with this. Make sure you guys go add everybody, support everybody. You never know who's going to sell something, is looking to buy, has good information, or you never know who you're going to meet. Maybe you're meeting some, comic friend that you'll have for a lifetime. I know I got 2 here in Hyper and Face, so just keep that in mind. And I hope everybody has a good new comic book day tomorrow. I'm interested to see what gets crazy, because I really do think that it's a light week. So I'm interested to see. Like Hidden said, he can't wait till Sunday, but that's when we're on next. So Sunday, 9:30, new comic book day, spec and news. And that's it. We'll see you guys then. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Peace.